the first thing women notice? Your face. That's why you got to take care of it. Simple things like getting a haircut, grooming your face, and brushing your teeth is important. But there's one thing guys miss and that women always notice. It's when a guy isn't taking care of his skin. That's why I'm so excited to have T. Shanley as a sponsor of today's video. T. Shanley simplifies the process of taking care of your skin. They provide you with all the products you need and nothing you don't. Seriously, I don't think some of you believe me when I tell you how much implementing a quality skincare routine will improve your confidence in all aspects of your life. I recommend you start with the level 1 system, which comes with all the basics: daily face wash, exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer with an SPF 20 and a PM moisturizer. But and to make it dead simple for you guys, they provide an instruction card in every box that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. But because T just sponsoring this video, they're offering you an amazing deal. Just click the first link in the description and get 40% off your first skincare system and free gift. Plus, as a member, you'll get 20% off for life. By the way, one of their new gift options is a silicone body scrubber, which is a $20 value and a complete game changer. Once you use this, you'll never go back to a regular loofah ever again. So don't wait any longer. Click the first link in the description to start your skincare journey today. Go time. Family, go to introduce who we got in this. Coco Chanel is Alicia Louise and myself. How y'all doing?
Good, and you?
Doing wonderful. Another day in the paradise, per usual.
Right on.
So, you guys, what's going on, Brother Hink? Luis, what's going on, Aisha? How you doing?
Yeah, I am trying to connect my earbuds, y'all. Just bear with me.
Okay.
How we doing this evening?
Wonderful. Yeah, you should decide to dress with me today.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I get a lot of compliments on this sweater, by the way. People ask me all the time. They love the back. They're always like, where can I get that sweater? It's great quality. I've probably been having this sweater since like 2019, 2020.
Appreciate it.
It's in great condition.
Yeah, it is, man. It lasts long. It might look a little bit more crisp. It could be my camera, though. No. Oh, no.
Damn, we missed the memo on the Lapeef sweaters.
Right, we can't get a Lapeef.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me started. Don't get me started. God damn.
We all could have worn the sweaters today.
I've been pushing it for at least 3 years now, ain't it, JR? God damn.
That's crazy.
But I'm gonna go ahead and get back to it, man.
He swerved that fast. Okay.
No. I ain't. I've been meaning to do it, man. 2025, man. I'm starting back on the merch. Starting back on the merch. Anyhow, yeah, it's good to see you guys, man. Again, happy Wednesday. Thursday, you know, we going with the big show tomorrow, so make sure y'all tune in. Well, is that somebody sneezing? Is that you, Viz?
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay, not that time. Okay.
Yeah, not this time.
All right.
My nasal's clean this time. It's
okay.
Good.
You got allergies, Viz?
Man, since I moved to Texas, it's ridiculous out here.
Oh, Viz, tell them the truth, man. You know, Viz been getting real emotional with these discussions, man. So,
AJ, I'll eat at that. He's on that sugar booger.
No,
Yeah,
no,
hit the like button, man. Also, make sure y'all
no time.
subscribe to the channel. Got Christopher Matthews, Champ Talk Reactions, Jovan Wynn, Jolie Legacy. What up? Red Pill. Perhaps they don't feel safe because they are in danger other than themselves. This is Dean Christopher. What was this? Tay Foyle. Bruiser was in here early. Shout out to everybody, man, that's coming in. If you're watching replay, also make sure you hit that like button. Click that Teej link. And you got some Black Friday deals going on. That link is in the description. Interesting show, man. It's going to be surrounding women feel unsafe. Let me just start with you women. Do you guys feel unsafe at all? I mean, you got the election going on. We got relationships. You got friends and people down in marriages. Do you guys overall feel like you are unsafe?
I mean, I think as a woman in society, there are always moments in which I'm going to feel a little unsafe, or just always have to watch my back, or just make sure you're aware of your surroundings. But I'm not necessarily sure if this election makes me feel more unsafe. Maybe it makes me feel like some of my rights may be taken away, but more unsafe than usual, maybe not.
What about the men in your life, or the men that you dated, 18? Do you overall feel safe as a woman in 2020?
With them?
Yeah. Just men in general.
Men in general? I mean, that's broad. There are some men that you get a feeling you feel safe around, and there are some that you don't. Men in my life, yeah, I feel safe with them, but random men in the street, not always. No.
Okay. What about you, Miss Coco?
How do I feel about feeling protected by men today?
Yeah, in general. You know, with everything, election, any and everything that you want to tie it into.
I'm a little indifferent with that. So I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't speak on that right now, but I'm a little different. I don't want to upset any men or women on that type of subject. So.
Listen, just
say what you got to say, Coco.
You're not going to take it. It's like you do have your support.
No, I don't feel 100% protected by men, but a lot of the men don't feel like that they're supposed to protect us. Like they feel that they find an excuse why we don't want to be protected or whatever. So I will just leave it at that. So I don't feel protected, but I don't think the men understand what that means.
Okay, can you explain to us what that means to you?
Well, when a man is disrespecting a woman, men don't say nothing, even if they're standing right there. They feel compelled not to say anything or protect the woman or defend the woman because either they feel like it's not their business. Men don't hold men accountable. So yeah, women, we have to protect ourselves and we have to have our guard up because when we look at our shoulder for men to be there for us, they're going to have an excuse why they didn't have to be.
Okay. Miss Aisha, I'm coming to you.
Do I feel unsafe surrounding the election and things with the election? No. I agree with Ty. I agree that we always have a sense of our safety as women. Like you know, but as I stand today, the men in my life, I feel 100% protected. You know, as Coco said, the protection is there when I'm around the men in my circle. But if I was to go out stray and maybe walk down the street, I might feel less protected if I see a black man because they don't speak up for us. I know you guys have seen videos where black men have been around and nothing has happened. They did nothing to stop the foolishness that was happening to a black woman. Nobody came to her aid. Nobody came to her defense, but somebody was recording with a phone. People were there and there were black men present. And that woman in that moment wasn't protected. Sometimes it's how a black man feel. They might feel like, oh, we don't want to protect her because she ghetto. That's what she get, you know, or things like that. But at the end of the day, every Black woman should feel protected by a Black man. Like, you got to think about your mommies, your aunties, your sisters. You would want them to feel protected. And I think that the ball has been dropped in that area because Coco said it. They're going to come up with the reasons why they don't protect us instead of just doing it.
Can I jump in one more time? I agree with what she just stated, but I also want to point out that I think some Black men, and this doesn't, count for all of them, because there are some that just don't care. But I also feel that there are a group of Black men who have been put in situations where they may have tried to help and the help was rejected. And so they feel that now moving forward, men are simple. You tell me no once, I'm not going to keep interjecting myself into a situation that maybe one, you already put yourself in, and then two, you're not even going to listen to what I'm saying in order to protect you. So, I mean, I get both sides of it. But I do think there are cases, of course, where there is a Black woman who is in distress and she won't get any help. But sometimes that just comes down to the fact that men have tried to help before and women don't always take it, especially Black women. We don't always accept the help.
All right, let me get some men in there, man. You heard some of the ladies speaking, and just in general, how do you feel about the protection of women? I'll speak at once now.
Don't do. I was about to say
I
that. Don't
know
all
Nisha's
speak at
gonna
one.
go.
Run.
Nah,
Proving our
mother's
point.
off mute, so
No, I thank you, Ty, for understanding that, and Coco, Aisha, I 100% agree with you. I 100% understand. I get it, but just as Ty has mentioned, in most cases, most men that have put themselves in that position is one of those boats of where is it worth it to get involved? Because the same way that you just mentioned, that we have mothers, we have sisters, we have daughters, we still got to get back home to them. So I feel like at one point, what I was seeing on social media, and to me, for a woman to say that men don't protect women, Black men don't protect Black women, when we have seen numerous Black men lose their lives protecting a Black woman, I feel like that's a slap in the face to those men that gave their lives. So I 100% understand. I get it. It's definitely some coward ass niggas that'll just sit there and have their phones out while they're watching it. But at the same time, I think that there has to be, at the same time, I think just understanding the predicament that men would have to place themselves in, especially in an unknown situation, that can be detrimental to them.
Okay, did you want to respond, Ty? Or?
No, I mean, I agree. I totally understand that perspective. Like he stated, a man stepping into a situation where another man is involved can be dangerous. And nowadays it can be deadly. So men have to measure it out and figure out like the risk and the reward. Is this something worth stepping into? How much of distress is she really in? Do I want to put myself in that predicament? And that can be hard to judge and gamble. They're not, the police, and they don't necessarily have to. Would it be nice for them to in every situation? Yeah, but should they? If that was your husband and he could potentially be killed because he was protecting someone else, would you want him to do it? Like they also have to think about those things. So I completely understand and I agree with this point.
So I want to take a different route and then go back to answering the question. I want to kind of go on this little journey. So when we talk about protection and the implementation in modern society, I look at it from the advancement of 360-degree cameras in cities, advanced surveillance systems, police phone poles, the blue lights, more police presence, more civilian presence on the street, adequate exterior lighting on buildings, in businesses and in neighborhoods, street lights everywhere we go. Technology, cell phones, one dial, 911 call. Infrastructure overall is built to protect women. I mean, just look at the advancements we've made in the last 25 years. College campuses are much more safer to walk through. Schools are much more protected, especially where you leave your children at, right? In terms of safety glass, access, etc. So I would like to think that there's a level of cognizance that has been implemented in our society at a great level to ensure the health and safety of not only our young people, but also our women as well. So all these things have been in concert with the protection of women at some point or whatever. It doesn't say that this device or these things that we're doing is for women, but it's always heavily thought with them in mind. Now, with that being said, to answer the question, what does protection look like? I look at protection from a few different points. I look at protection from the physical aspect. I look at protection from the emotional aspect. I look at protection from the mental aspect, right? Because I can say something to you that will trigger you and instill something in you that will get you off your rocker, right? And sort of, I have to find a way to not only protect you from yourself and from others, but also protect yourself mentally from you intoxicating yourself with bad thoughts because we're having a disagreement or because someone pissed you off because unfortunately they're having a bad day. They lost their mom. They just got fired. They just realized that they're not getting that bonus this year and they really relying on it because times is tough. Life is lifing and a lot of people out here are going through stuff. I think it's important to develop skills and conversations when you go out. I tell my sister all the time, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of where you go, carry your keys in your hand, be courteous and respectful, but also be on guard. Do not argue with men. No, yes, no. Oh, I have my brother waiting for me. And these types of things will keep you. Don't engage in BS that will escalate the situation. Try to always de-escalate the situation. Even if you're in the right, the most important goal is for you to get home at the end of the night. That should be everybody's goal. And that's especially for if you're a parent, you want your child to get home at the end of the night, regardless. Who cares about that BS? People out here, unfortunately, are making permanent decisions over temporary feelings. You wake up the next day, damn, dog, I was tripping, man. I don't even know what hit me. Man, like I had some pent up, emotions or resentment from something 5 years ago, and you said something that just put me in that state. We need to know how to navigate people, how to handle them in certain situations, and not try to escalate. Because unfortunately, to Vis's point, the threshold of violence among men is very, very low, like this. So when you come to a man, especially if he's your man, and you feel violated and this thing went, he's ready to go 0 to 100. So once you've let that out, it's no longer in your control, right? Because if he's strapped or if he has a hammer on him, whatever the case, he's going to defend your honor. And most other men out and about in civilian, when they see women in distress, you'll see a bunch of men kind of like look around and then huddle towards that woman. You know what I'm saying? Hey, are you okay? Are you in distress? Do you need me to call somebody? You know what I'm saying? And they all kind of, create that sort of that shield around them. Now, whoever that perpetrator is or whoever that significant other, he's not going to allow them to penetrate that circle of men who are around because they're highly aware and vigilant of the situation. Again, we've implemented a lot of these things in our society. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I don't think anything is perfect. I think there are measures in there, but there's always the human element to take over. The human element is the most key important aspect because without self-awareness and without self-governance, we will lie ourselves to be the weakest flesh of the animals that lie at our doorsteps. So I yield.
Go ahead, Brother Hink.
So ladies want men to crash out for them in order to protect them. So first things first, I'm going to evaluate the situation, because I've been caught up in a catch-22 where I try to break up a domestic situation and damn, they almost got stabbed. Yeah, never again. You heifers will never put me in that situation again. So the most important thing I'm going to do, I'm going to call 911. And I'm going to pray they get there on time to handle that situation. That is going to be my level of protection for you. I did you a solid, because probably your dumb ass probably should have called it, but you was probably too engaged going back and forth with the man. Okay, cool. If that's what you're going to do, it's not a smart decision, man. And if I'm on site, I probably say, man, why are you trying to argue with this man? This man going to kill you if he wants to. So how about you just walk away while you got this opportunity, walk away and get out of that situation. If you choose to continue to engage after I shared that with you, yeah, man, there's nothing else I can really do for you. I did everything I can. I told you to walk away, to get away while I got him somewhat distracted. I'm going to call 911 and say, hey, man, you might want to get down there because it's about to get ugly. Really nothing else too much I could do for you, because I really know you. I don't know your intentions. Because there's some shady people out here. They try to rob you, set you up, and do all that shit. Just play on your sympathy in certain neighborhoods and certain cities you go to. So how I know this is not a whole setup for me to get taken advantage of? I don't. But what I can do, like I said, I can call the police. If it's something where y'all just going back and forth, it's not violence, but y'all just arguing, man, you might want to walk away, because it's going to get ugly, because I don't know how he's going to handle it. He might be raised by a single baby mama, and he going to act just like his mama does, emotional, and put his hands on you. That's not what you want to do, man. So you might want to get out of this situation. I'll land it there.
So I'll give you an example that happened to me when I was in grad school. I was in Boston. I just finished getting out of a nightclub, some Spanish spot that I was at, and I'm on the hillside, and I'm walking towards back to my car, and I hear a woman scream like she was in an argument. And I'm walking down Beacon Hill, and I see two couples, and they're like pushing each other, grabbing on each other, etc. So I get close, I walk, I observe the situation, and he grabs homegirl by her hair. Now it's late. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm a little tipsy myself. First thing I did was grab my cell phone, call the cops, told them exactly where I'm at. The gentleman, it's this description, X, Y, and Z. Woman is this description. I'm at this corner of the park, heading this way, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? And I'm following. Although it's like a domestic situation, it's not deadly. Although it's uncomfortable, but the quickest reaction. Now, I don't know if that man is knifed up, gunned up, none of that stuff. I don't know those circumstances. And plus, it's nighttime, and I'm also a little bit under the influence because I have been drinking. I'm not trying to engage somebody in that kind of situation.
You don't know if you're alone, too.
And I was alone. I was by myself. I didn't have none of my homeboys with me. I was by myself. So, like, you got to gauge that situation for what it is, right? And take the adequate steps. Now, if they were planted and homeboy was wailing on her, then chances are, I'll probably tackle the dude in that situation. But then again, it just becomes one of those situations where you have to really take a calculated risk. Is it worth it? Because again, you don't know what's behind that other veil. So,
can I say something? I got a question. Okay, so those are extreme measures because I do know that there are women out there that got mouth disrespectful, and they trigger him in, then they turn around and go get another guy like he did this, and then get them guy. I ain't talking about those. So let me give you an example of what I mean when I talk about protection. So I was at a concert or something like that, and I was waiting in line, and the line was really long outside into the open area where, like, during intermission, people were just hanging out drinking. And I'm in line, and I'm looking in my purse to get something, and some guy like walks up to me, and he's trying to holler, and I'm like, no, thank you. And then he's like, you got a man? I'm like, yeah. And I'm still looking at my purse. Well, he gets mad and knocked my purse down and was like, fuck you, bitch. And he walked off. Now, mind you, it's a whole lot of men around. It's a whole lot of women. So when he knocked my purse down, of course, everything fell out. And all these women, they just like, they covered me and they went and they grabbed everything off the floor, you know, tampons, lipstick, they grabbed everything and was like, are you okay? And all the men were just standing there looking. The dude walked off. Like, he just got mad and knocked off my purse and walked off. And no guy asked me, like, you good? You okay? Like, nobody said nothing. They just looked at it. And I was like, these men is trash. Like, literally, you could have like at least said, are you good? Like, all these women, we all have, they immediately surrounded me and helped me get the purse. And these guys were just standing there looking at the wall like, damn, she's fine, but dude just fucked her up. Like, you see what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say men ain't protecting.
That's fair.
To go off of Coco's point, I was going to say, I noticed that you gentlemen keep bringing up domestic issues, right? But from a woman's perspective, when we say we don't feel protected, it's so much larger than that, right? So Luis said for his sister, he makes sure to tell her to always, you know, be aware of your surroundings. Don't, you know, argue with people. Don't do this, don't do that. The reason you're even saying all of that is because, you know, the minute that she's outside of your protection, she is unprotected. Women are the number one victim when it comes to people trying to kidnap us, people trying to take advantage of our weakness, you know, being in situations where we seem vulnerable, even as Coco stated, just standing in line. We've had many cases over the years where men have literally killed women because we said no. And it didn't have to be in an aggressive manner. It could just be like, oh, no, I'm not interested. And that can trigger a man. So it's so much broader than just a relationship situation. Women in general throughout history have not felt protected. And it doesn't matter how many street lights are out or how many cameras they have, because let's be honest, that's all after the fact evidence. None of that protects you in that moment from the imminent danger that comes after you. It was a woman, they caught a video of a woman in Chicago walking down the street. A guy asked her for some change. Her being nice, she turned around, tried to get him some change, and he tried to rob her. Good thing she had a gun and she shot him right then and there. But that just gives you an idea that literally every day that we walk outside, even if we are aware of our surroundings and all of that, we are to a certain degree in more danger than men for the most part, as far as them seeing us as easy targets. So it doesn't have to be just a domestic situation in which we don't feel protected.
Let me get this one, Louise. Let me get this one.
Go ahead.
So I 100% agree with you. Coco, I 100% agree as well. That's some weak ass shit. You got to at least just check in. But Ty, you have to understand that the same way that when women walk outside, they can potentially be prey to a predator, men go through the same thing. The only difference is that we would more than likely put up a better or bigger fight. There's always going to be predators out there, regardless if you're a man, woman, child, elderly, whatever. It's always going to be a coward out there that's preying on the weak. So I 100% agree with you. I understand. I feel for you. And that's why some men, they base who they are as a man on protecting the vulnerable, right? But at the end of the day, once you go outside your doors, everybody is a potential threat, and everyone could be potentially a prey in that situation. Now, there's something else to consider as well. There's a gentleman in New York right now fighting for his freedom because he stepped in on the subway to help defend everyone that was in there, because there was a guy that was spazzing out. He was high. And he's an ex-Marine. He grabbed him, put him in a chokehold to restrain him. The dude ended up dying, and now the news has villainized him. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone that was on that train that felt threatened, they're more than likely didn't give a dime, you know, to his legal aid. So it's again one of those situations of, is this worth it? Because even though I know that I'm doing the right thing with the laws that's in place, with some women feeling that, oh, this, he went to the extreme, he went too far. But the thing is, once it goes there, there ain't nothing that you can do. It's all that you can do is just be in that moment and do the best that you can. So now that that happened, this man is fighting for his freedom, for defending and protecting everyone on that train, and no one is coming to his aid and assistance. So it's one of those boats where I get it. I get it 100%. I tell all women, hey, if you can, go and get a concealed carry. Make sure that you strapped so that you can protect yourself. Be smart, be wise, be aware of your surroundings, and carry yourself in a manner where you can protect yourself. Because your brother, your husband, your boyfriend, whoever, they're not always going to be there. So there's going to be instances where you have to be aware of how to protect yourself in those moments.
So I want to kind of piggyback off what Viz said and add a little bit more. I think that it's simple to talk about this at our more seasoned adult level age. And I think what we really need to do is pivot this to the youth and really start talking to the youth about self awareness, about self defense. You know what I'm saying? Talk about how to step in and de escalate situations, right? I think if we're going to spend our tax dollars or spend a certain effort, I think it's about, cultivating the minds of the youth to know how to be that type of civilian and that type of community member where they see a fellow colleague or a fellow, student of theirs in a situation like that, and they know how to step in, how to de-escalate, because we've implemented steps of how to address and how to read the situation. I remember when I was younger, I was in karate. One of the biggest things they teach you is discipline, focus, discipline, and everything else that came with it, right? And unfortunately, a lot of our young people do not have any of those basic fundamental skills. And sort of they get through life and get into the world where it's rough. You're going to be on that commuter rail at 9 o'clock at night, going home, which is 45 minutes. There might be some weirdos on there. I can't guarantee or promise that. Unfortunately, the world that we live in today is so unrest. But what are the tools that we could arm you with to secure your safety? And what things can we teach our young boys of how to navigate, especially when they see women alone? Hey, don't walk alone. Walk in groups. Hey, can I walk you to your car? Do you feel safe? I think having types of conversations and bringing back chivalry. Jesus Christ. Can we bring back a sort of a nostalgic era in time where actually men were operating and moving like men and allowed to do so? Unfortunately, not this. I don't need no help, and then the situation happens, and now I'm a damsel in distress. We really got to get that. Either you want one way or the other, and I understand there is a silver line in that. However, I think it starts with our younger people, because we could talk about this as adults all day, but how are we preparing and cultivating the minds of the younger people so they can learn upon that, teach upon that, and then we start changing generations of how people move in society, how they read certain situations, and how they feel more comfortable and safe even at night, right? So I yield there.
All right, I do want to kind of switch it up a little bit, man, because I know we've been talking a lot about physical, but what about the mental, right? We're talking about women feeling unsafe. So I know we just had the election. Do Black women feel less safe with Trump's nominees in power?
No. But what I will say is, if we're talking about protection. I don't know. I work in corporate America. I've been in corporate America for a long time. And I have been in situations where Black men didn't have my back in corporate America. Or, they did some rude or underhanded and disrespectful things to me, or they've seen me be mistreated or looked over, and they did nothing. So I feel like even when we talk about protection all the way around, it has to evolve into the workplace as well, because a lot of Black women aren't protected in corporate America, even by Black men that are in positions of authority.
Aisha, did you feel protected by anyone in corporate America?
I would say yes, but she was my mentor. She was the direct, like, he was a Black
It was
woman.
one person.
Yeah.
Was she Black?
She was a Black lady.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I work in corporate America as well. And the thing I think it is with Black people, first of all, in corporate America, depending on what, industry you work in, there's not a plethora of us. And it's always that fight of who's going to make it to the top. And unfortunately, we are taught that the mindset is we all can't. So we're always in competition with each other. And I feel like that's where the underhanding happens. But in my experience, starting in corporate America, there was one Black guy there, and he helped me get into the job. And it was more so everyone else, so all the others, that I didn't feel protected with. And I realized that that was just corporate America in general, right? It wasn't just the Black man. And I can honestly say, as more Black men joined my company, there's one African guy who's in IT. He always looked out for me. The higher I rose, he always was like, I knew you should have been doing that. Like, I'm proud of you. I'm happy you keep going. We have more of like that family and connection because it's not a lot of us, opposed to that, what do I want to say? Just that competition with each other. But I noticed in corporate America, that's just the environment. That's the community sometimes. And it's not really a Black thing. It's just the way corporate America is built.
So
It's a dog eat dog world.
It's like, ladies, y'all know y'all put us in a predicament in this situation, right? In 2024, y'all put us in certain predicaments where it's kind of hard to do those type things. So if I was to go and I stand there and protect you, some women will sit there and say, "Oh, you just doing that because you trying to get with me. I'm trying to get some ass." That may not even be farthest from the truth. I'm just trying to look out for you, give you some word of advice, or give you some type of structure and help and encouragement. But then when you turn it around, it's like, damn, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Look, I've had a situation like I showed this before. This boy was whooping this lady's ass. I mean, not actually physically whooping him, but he was just acting a fool. And I addressed the boy at the local Kroger's, the grocery store. She said, "Don't you talk to my son?" I said, "Cool." And I was praying. I said, I hope that boy whoops your ass the rest of the time you in here. That's the feeling I felt, because after she said, "You ain't got to say that, you ain't his daddy." I said, "You right. You are right. I'm sure you don't even know who that motherfucker is, but I hope he whoops your ass the whole time." That's what I was thinking to myself. Because when you put yourself in situations like that, yeah, the next one's going to be hesitant. Even when I held the door for a woman and I pulled her back out. No, hell no. Baby, you're going to say thank you. You ain't get through the door. You open it your goddamn self. Now, I had to explain it because I didn't actually drag her. I just put my arm around her, like, loop my arm around her and pulled on out. And she said, looked at me like I was crazy. Then I opened the door again. She said, "Thank you." So she knew I was doing it. But when you deal with situations like that, you kind of hesitate on the next one. Because a situation like that, it really gives you a bit of taste in your mouth. Like, damn, I mean, I didn't have to, but I'm being cordial. I didn't have to dress your son. I try to help you with your son, but I'm being cordial. But you just gonna shit on me. But let me tell you what just be the opposite. Let you do the same thing for one of them snow bunnies. They gonna smile at you. "Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for saying something to my son. I appreciate you. But our own people, the ones that look like us, who we supposed to be sticking together with, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. Heck, but no, it's not. I'm doing it because I'm being nice and respectful. Because I got a mother. Because I got a wife. I got daughters. That's why I'm doing it. Not because I think you look cute, because I don't want your stinky ass. But I'm just going to try to do you a favor. I'm trying to help you out with your son. Because I seen your son. I was your son at one time. Acting the fool out you at the grocery store, grabbing everything. So I see he just needs a male voice to be heard. You didn't want that? Okay, act the fool, boy. Act the goddamn fool.
Do you ladies, just a quick question, do you ladies find that, there are, well, let me frame it this way. In your lived experience, going to work, coming back from work, out and going out to dinner with your girls, etc. In your personal lived experience, do you find it more often than not that men tend to operate more like men in this aspect of what Hank is talking about? That, let me grab that for you, let me help you out, let me open this door, etc. Do you come across that more often, or more often than not, or do you find that that's more of a rarity in your experience?
Well,
Go ahead, Coco.
I was going to say I come across that often. I do. But I also come across situations where I feel like I have to give somebody my number because I feel like this guy gonna have an attitude. He gonna say something rude. Let me give him my number, and I just will block him afterwards. Because they'll even call you right in front of you, text you right in front of you. You get the wrong number, so that don't even work no more. So yes, I have given my number out to guys just so I can make sure it's a peaceful exit. And yeah, I got a lot of respectful guys, but it is what it is. So I don't always come across someone that is disrespecting me. But like I said, I have given guys my number just because I got a feeling he's not gonna respond right. So let me just go ahead and make sure he walks away with a smile, and I'll block him later. And you men think that that's a messed up excuse. You men think that women do that for an excuse or whatever, but it's not an excuse. I don't know. Sometimes you men think that we're supposed to like get away from me. I got a man. Like, I don't know what y'all be thinking we supposed to do, but in my last relationship, like that was an issue because I've given a couple of guys when I was out at the club or something with my friends or a bar. I told him like, look, I gave this dude my number. I blocked him, but he just literally I blocked him and the guy called me from two Google Voice numbers. So I would tell my boyfriend then at the time, well, that's why you don't get him by your number. You tell him no and walk off. It's like y'all men don't have no idea what women go through when we reject a man and
So
what we're thinking about, like our nerves. So sometimes we might do something that y'all think is stupid at that moment, but at that moment, in my mind, I'm gonna go ahead and do this because I just want to go hang out with my girls and have a drink, and I don't even want to be embarrassed right now. So
So pretty much what I'm gauging from you is that you feel more anxious and nervous around men who are trying to do a gesture which you don't know from what angle it's coming from. Like, okay, he did this for me. It's a nice gesture, etc. I'm anticipating that he wants something, right?
no, I don't volunteer. I don't volunteer my number. It's when they ask. When a guy asks and they trying to holler, that's when I have to assess real quick. Do I want to say no or do I want to go ahead and say yes and let this be peaceful?
Yeah, man. Like, unfortunately, some dudes just don't know how to read uh certain signals, certain approaching signals. Like if she's giving you that signal, like, to ask, okay, but for most part, I really, man, we are fucking at the bottom of the pole when it comes to that kind of stuff, man, because it's just crazy to me. Like I'm just not that crazy, man. Come across at least half a dozen women in one setting in one evening, right? So like if she's not interested, keep that shit moving, man. Like you gotta have an abundance mindset. You gotta have a certain level of confidence as a man, because she might be taken, man, or she just went through a breakup, man. Like keep that shit moving, just do it because that's who you are. Always operate from you doing it because that's who you are, not because you're trying to gain something, because more often than not that tends to backfire on you.
I think that situation is kind of tough for men as a whole to police, for one. Now, as far as with the guy that you was dating and his response, I think that speaks more so on him and his insecurities because, I mean, you're an attractive woman, so I'm sure when you go out looking good, smelling good, whatever, niggas gonna try and holler at you. So to me, it's like, well, shit, if you don't want niggas hollering at your girl, then maybe you should take your ass out with her. You know what I'm saying? Type of deal. So I mean that more so sounds like that's a issue as far as with that man and maybe what you're attracting or what you're attracted to. But I think the depth the hurtful part for men as a whole is when you say you man, you men, when it's not you men, it's that particular type of man. So it goes back to what we were saying originally, that if men that uphold these standards of themselves and try to hold other men to those standards as well, and if we're consistently hearing women demeaning us and saying, "Oh, y'all this, y'all that," then it's like, well, shit, maybe I shouldn't do shit because that's how you see us all to be. So even if I was to step in, you wouldn't even appreciate it. So I think that we got to be mindful of that narrative, especially when we get on these platforms, because I get it, but you just said that that's not always your experience. But before you made that conversation, you made it seem like that's all that you were experiencing.
Let me play these super chats, right? Go ahead. Who's about to say that? Ty, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to answer Louise's question. I was going to say I've had more experiences where men have done a gesture for me just out of doing the gesture, right? Like I've traveled by myself and it was a man to help me out. I've been in situations where I was in danger and it was a man to help me through that situation. So I've had more positive experiences. But to Coco's point, you do have those specific men out there who, even if you are in a relationship and you tell them, or let's say I'm lying, I'm not, right? But I just don't want to talk to you. So I say I have a boyfriend. I don't know if it's just in my generation or the younger guys, but they push on that, right? It's like, okay, you got a boyfriend, so what? I still want your number. They kind of push past it and you have to be like, oh, but I'm loyal, let me walk away. Thank you. And still be nice and overly friendly just so you don't create a situation that's going to put you in a dangerous situation.
All right. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, no, I don't want to belabor the point. I do understand that, and I do agree. Unfortunately, we're just kind of cultivating the wrong type of mindset for our young boys who are becoming young men and meant to be, or males if they don't graduate to becoming a man, because that seems what it is happening. We got to get away from that because it just creates a lot of issues, especially within our culture.
All right, we come through these super chats, then I'll play a clip. The University $2 says it's not everywhere a woman is supposed to be. The University again, $2 says we made my sister warriors. They tell me after. LOL. Just for my 4 cents, $5 says, so the guy walked off after hitting your purse. Now what you do? Now what do you want the man to do? Chase him down and attack him. Billy Go Gruff $5 says women made men the bad guy in society. Get a husband or that bear you rather be with, or live with the situation you created. You at a concert alone? Shaking my head. Billy Goat $2 says no one's more victimized in corporate America than black men. Billy Goat again, $2 says no one. I read that one already. Just for my 4 cents, $2 says, is this a guy who's been buying you drinks all night? Question mark.
Even that
First of
bear.
all, I never said I was at a concert by myself, but I was standing in line at the women's bathroom by myself. That's one. And two, no. He walked up to me while I was standing in line trying to holler, and I told him multiple times no. And I guess because I was looking at my purse and ignoring him, maybe he felt embarrassed, whatever it was. At the end of the day, I was nice and I said no. And he felt embarrassed and knocked my purse down. So, yeah.
Even that bear conversation when that was being pushed, like that was like to me that really again just felt like a slap in the face to men that, you know what I'm saying, that's not on that, because now it further pushes the narrative that all men are predators. You know what I'm saying? Like all men are are just going to maul you. So now it puts men in a position to where they almost feel uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying, even being around a woman. There was this one clip, this video of where they show a white guy walk up to an elevator, and he sees a black guy and a woman on a black guy on one elevator and a woman on another elevator. She's kind of in some skimpy clothing. The white guy gets on the elevator with the black guy, you know what I'm saying, because who's to say whatever is to happen, even if the man wasn't on shit, just the fact that he's in the elevator with this woman that's dressed provocatively, you know, she could easily say, oh, he did this or he did that. So we're creating this conflict and turmoil by pushing these narratives, because now we're training people to think a certain type of way that may not have even ever experienced the shit.
What
I
is
would
the
never.
bear conversation? I'm sorry.
So there was a conversation on social media of where they were asking women, do you feel safer with a bear or with a man? And everyone was saying the bear, which is crazy as hell, because it's like, if a bear wants you, the bear is going to, you know what I'm saying? But with a man, you almost have a fighting chance. With the bear, you have no fighting chance whatsoever. But then they threw in the stats. Oh, well, you're less likely to get attacked by a bear than a man. Well, yeah, because there's no bears walking throughout the city, you know. So it's the logic of it made no sense, but yet that was a narrative that was being pushed.
In all fairness, when they asked men the same question about with their kids, they said the bear too. But so it just wasn't women choosing the bear, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm sure it was a joke or whatever. But I mean, I was listening to your story about the elevator. Let me just tell y'all, I be on the elevator. If I'm going out, my may be a little seductive. I ain't never had a problem with a man get on the elevator with me. They happily get on, all races. If my car, I have a blowout, I have a man pull over, help me with my blowout. I've never had an issue. If I'm at Home Depot and I'm like, oh, it's too heavy, there's a man there to help me put it in my car, you know. And yeah, sometimes the guys, you know, want to holler at you. You say you have a boyfriend, like somebody else said. Absolutely. They'll try again, but let me just be your, and you just eventually he gets the point. He's like, oh, okay. And he goes, it's not that big of a deal. And, I owe you that conversation for that heavy ass item you just put in my car. So it's all good, even. But I don't know. I mean, men are going to shoot their shot, right? That's normal male behavior. You don't shoot it. You just never know. So if you're a gorgeous, beautiful woman, take it as a compliment, because he could not. And then your feelings will be hurt. So, I just feel like when guys do things for you, I think that some people are I'm appreciative. I like when people think enough of me to think that I'm an attractive person. Even if I have to turn them down, it's an honor for him to think of me that way. So, and I've never had many in my older years, anyhow. I've never had guys be inappropriate or just take it to a next level. I mean, he's just really just trying to holler. And that's all innocent. so to speak. At least the experiences I've had, there have been innocent experiences, and this is from every, race or whatever. So that's just my experience.
Most of us women are really nice because it's a nice gesture when a guy's trying to holler and they compliment you. So usually you just like, again, some men want you to be mean. And it's like, why do I need to be, why I'm supposed to be mad because this dude is attracted to me? Like I'm supposed to just be this angry person because I'm in a relationship. I just told this guy no thank you. But some of the men, some men, I'll say some, think, oh, women are too nice. That's why men do that. Y'all too nice. Y'all invite that, and y'all invite that. You shouldn't have stood there talking. You talked too long. That was 5 minutes. You shouldn't have went more than 2 minutes if you weren't interested.
I mean, I would say that there is a fine line with that though, because if you do lay it out as if you're showing interest or that you're interested, then yeah, you kind of leaving the door open. There is, I believe from my experience, I ain't gonna say that I've never been turned down, but in my experience, when a female ain't feeling me, you know what I'm saying, is I can read the room. Okay, she being vague with her answers, whatever. All right, cool. Well, shit, have a good day, sweetheart, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But if you still leave the door open for him to continue to have the conversation, then yeah, that can very much open the door to problems potentially happening. Because even if you're not interested, he now thinks that you're interested. So he's going to continue to push to try and get some cheeks.
Let me play this clip and then we can continue the conversation.
The reason why I think you're saying it's potentially unsafe, we can't go and say this person is lying or not because we were not there, correct? We weren't there when so if this person has this accusation, we wasn't in the room to say 100%. And so what he's saying is, or potentially it's dangerous, when we now insinuate or just doing this for character destruction, highlights the need for the Me Too movement.
I never said that was the only reason. You guys, one of the reasons.
Most, generally.
No, I said generally.
And
what you
most.
talking about?
You got to stand on
Bro,
that, bro.
generally,
Stand on
that's
that.
the most. Generally is most.
Stand on that, bro.
We're standing on it. What are you talking about? But
Even if you imply one is lying, that's still information you don't have access to.
Most is not all.
If it's one,
that's
you
totally
don't
fine,
know
bro.
that.
Logical thinker, man.
People that's joining the Me Too movement, talking about their personal experience, you think the majority of those people are lying?
Generally.
Oh my God.
Generally, I don't believe them.
Oh my God.
I don't believe.
As a man, as a protector, I want the men out here who see this to be more concerned with how to stop those who have genuinely experienced abuse as opposed to worrying about who's lying about it. As a man, that's our responsibility. Let the court system and all that shit figure that out. And of course, that's a travesty too when it's lied about. But let's focus on this shit is happening at an alarming rate. As men, this is where our attention should be going.
Guys, think about that.
Can you put that step back up?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah, I was on mute and I was asking that. Jeez.
I know, Louise. I saw your lips.
We good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know.
So with that stat alone, right? Like, first of all, I just want to open this up by saying, just as none of the men on here can understand a woman's experience living day to day, we won't be able to understand yours, right? So I'm not going to discredit this comment earlier when you stated that you also feel like prey to a certain extent, or people will prey on you. There are predators out there, 100%. But just based on that stat and understanding the world, women experience this on such a higher level, right, than men usually do. And we can also argue that a lot of men don't necessarily report when they go through things like this, because of pride, ego. That's not something that a man should be able to go through and not handle himself in. And women have a higher rate of reporting it. But we also have a history where even in the judicial system, when women reported things of this nature, and I'm talking about, sexual assault specifically, they weren't always believed. Right now, in the 2025 bill, they have, and that they're trying to push, there's a portion of it where they want to make abortions illegal, even for women who get pregnant via rape, via incest,
That's
things of
false.
that nature. They're trying to make it so that you cannot get an abortion, and if you do, especially in certain states right now, they're arguing it. I literally just saw a court case on it, that you can get up to 15 years as the sexual assault victim,
You
where
speak of what bill?
where the person that committed the sexual assault, they're pushing what they want to get 10 because you got an abortion in
What
that
bill?
situation, right? So it's just thinking from that perspective and seeing that. I just wanted to like kind of go back to that conversation we were having, where I was just trying to make that point. This is why it's just at a higher rate that women don't feel as protected. Now, of course, it's circumstantial. It's based on where you are, the people you're around, things of that nature. But it still remains a fact that, women are at a higher risk than men when it comes to predatory behavior.
What bill
Let
are
me
you
say
talking about?
let me say this real fast. This is crazy. Men are shamed if they don't protect a woman. Men are looked down upon if we don't protect a woman, whether it's mentally or physically. But please believe you me, if a man was to report that he's being a victim, he's shamed, he's looked down upon. We can't win for losing. We cannot win for losing. If I go out there and I'm a victim of a verbal assault from a woman, and I go report it to the police officer, yeah, he gonna laugh at me all the way out the precinct. He gonna make a joke out of it. What's wrong with your big ass? The hell, you couldn't just walk away. She hit on you. Okay, maybe he was trying to walk away, but she's still striking him as he walking away. We can't say this shit doesn't happen. There's a reason why the numbers as far as domestic violence for men are so low. Because men don't report it. Why? Because you're shamed and you may look less than. Now, as a man, I don't believe in putting hands on nobody. I even said one time, if I ever heard my son put his hands on a woman, I'll whoop his ass on sight. Because I don't believe in that shit. Keep your goddamn hands to yourself. Nobody should be putting hands on nobody. You understand? I mean, even with the verbal abuse of a woman, I don't believe in that shit. I'm not gonna shoot out, act a fool with you. Why? You're not worth it. Just walk away.
You're beneath me.
But exactly. I said it before. Somebody got mad when I said that.
You was right. Pink.
I was right on point when I tried.
I mean, yeah, but I said that before, that in those certain cases, if men are supposed to be the leader, then you shouldn't bring yourself down to a woman's emotional standard, right? Or a woman's emotional position. But I just wanted to comment on what you stated, where if you went into a precinct and you were in a domestic situation with a woman,
Yes.
that you stated a police officer would laugh you out of the precinct. That's not true.
Yes.
In domestic situations, if you or if let's say you call the police and you literally have scratches or bruises or whatever, right? And the woman says, well, he provoked me, he did this, he did that, she's going to go to jail. It is a domestic, yes, she is. It is. I sit up and watch dash cam videos all day long. It's just a thing for me. Okay. I constantly see women going to jail, especially nowadays, for domestic violence on their boyfriend. And in a lot of those cases, the girl calls and she ends up going to jail because the police officer found out that it was her that was the aggressor. Now, I agree with you. A lot of men do not call, but I don't think that that's necessarily a woman's problem that the man don't call. That is a man's issue. That's y'all deciding that that's going to look bad on you, that you don't want to seem like you aren't strong enough to handle the situation. You have to change that mindset. If you are put in danger, whether that's from a woman or a man, and the whole point of the police department is to protect, then you should call the police, especially if you
But
want
Ty,
to be a big person and not put your hands on them, right?
Well,
And
Ty,
maybe you can't
Ty,
walk away.
your
that's a
word
great
is good to them. My word don't mean shit to me, to them. Did you hear
That's
what
not
I said?
true, Hank.
No,
Ty,
that
I'm gonna
is
say it again. Your word means everything to you, to them. My word don't mean shit. I got to show proof.
You
I
have to
have
have
to show, I have to show a scar, a mark. You don't have to say it. You can sit there and say, I'm 6'3", Ty, you say you 6'2", 6'6", I'm sorry, 5'2", 5'3", right?
I'm 5'3". Mm-hmm. 5'3".
So I'm a foot taller than you. They gonna
We the
look at
same
me,
height.
I know.
they gonna say, hey, you big ass, big Negro. What the hell can this woman do to you? You can just walk away from her. You can just push her away and get out of there. But see, that's the mindset they're gonna take. Now, if I show proof that I got scars on me, maybe they accept my word then. You don't have to. They gonna say, well, he is a little bit intimidating. He is a big guy. And you only 5'3", weighing 140. I'm 267. Yeah, that's a difference. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
I also think it has to do with the area too, you know, that you may be in. Because, you know, if you're in Chicago, you know, South Side, you know, they'll probably let the woman slide. It just depend on it. It just depend on the officers.
I personally was in that situation where me and a ex, we had got into it. She got physical. I literally had scratches all in my face. Police came. Both our names is on the lease. They told me I had to leave. So it's not always in the situation where the woman is going to be chastised or penalized for it. It was okay. Well, this is all right. Everybody's cool. All right, you got to go for the night type of deal. So it's not always in that situation, in that case, where it's going to work out to the man's advantage.
I just think that we are talking about protecting Black women, and somehow every time we're talking about protecting Black women, it's like, well, what about us? It's almost like y'all, all lives matter in the shit. Like we are
All lives do matter.
about protecting Black women and how we feel, and those statistics show that 1 out of 3 women have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime. That means there are 4 women on this platform tonight. At least one of us have been a victim of sexual assault.
So,
When you're talking about protecting Black women, that means that goes to a whole nother level that has nothing to do with you guys not wanting to report what's happened. These things are happening and have happened. So that goes back to you knowing your friends, the people you with, holding people accountable, you know, making sure that your friend isn't shit-faced drunk and trying to take this girl home. Like just holding your friends accountable for their actions and the men around you.
Well, so the thing is that most men do. The problem is that in those situations, a woman would go back to the situation. Everybody will know that dude whooping her ass, but she won't leave. I'm pretty sure all the men on the panel has experienced it. I've experienced it.
I've had a situation at a party where that happened, where the dude slapped the shit out of this woman. Like we all grabbed homeboy, almost like we kind of like roughed him up, like, yo, what the fuck is you doing? Blah blah blah. And homegirl, she was like trying to hit him back or whatever, and we kind of like got into it with the dude. at the end of the event, she laughed, he laughed, or whatever. Mind you, they're a couple, right? And family members stepped in. Homegirl went right back with homeboy. And because we all thought that we did the right thing, right, which was the right thing to do in that moment, she still went back with homeboy and she still rocked with homeboy. Now she doesn't want to come around and he views us as like now his enemies and stuff because you did a foul thing and put your hands on her, which you shouldn't have. Now you don't want to come around and you view us some type of way because we were trying to side. And it's always those types of situations. And
Well, I
I
feel like
get
he
it.
shouldn't want to come around. He shouldn't want to be around somebody behaving like that, and y'all shouldn't want him around y'all.
Well, yeah,
So
but it goes back to the woman still bringing them around though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem. I 100% agree. We should absolutely be protecting women at all costs. But again, it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation. Even with us knowing the stats that we know, there has been numerous cases where everybody knows that Uncle Chuck is touching on Cheryl. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that Grandpa such and such is a fucking perv. But the problem is nobody speaks up and tell the other men that's in the family because they want to protect them. So that now puts everybody that is solely against it in a hell of a position because now we can't protect you because now nobody is saying anything. It's being swept under the rug. This is a dark one of those secrets that's being held in the closet. So it's like what can we do to get past that if the woman that's experiencing it or the women that's in charge of the family, that's the head of the family, is protecting them? So what do we do in that situation?
I actually agree with this a little bit on this one, because there is like this cultural thing, especially in Black families, right? It was like a saying, what happens in our house stays in our house. And it could be a situation where maybe your uncle, your grandfather, your cousin, something was being predatory to one of the little girls in the family. But instead of the women, like he said, telling the other men in the family, they would protect them, right? They'll hide them, they'll send them somewhere else, they'll try to just de-escalate the situation themselves. And unfortunately, when we as Black women do that, we end up putting ourselves in danger and then actually rejecting the help that we are looking for. Like I stated, in the beginning, there are situations in which women can be the main reason why we are not receiving the help that we need. We block it. And it might not be intentional, but we are so worried and caring for everybody else that sometimes we don't even think to care for ourselves. How are people going to protect us when we're not protecting ourselves?
So what
I know
Aisha, what are we supposed to do
before
in
I
that
would do
situation?
anything.
I mean that's a serious question to the women on the panel. In a situation like that, that's real. Just how you said that the numbers are real. We can all acknowledge that. What are we expected to do in that situation?
I think that it's only right to speak up. I didn't grow up in a family where we swept things under the rug. Like I grew up where you dial one number, everybody phone rang, everybody knew everybody's business. Like I knew my uncle was gay when I was a kid. Like we all knew. I didn't grow up in a family where we didn't speak up and I wasn't able to say, and I have family members and I know people who spoke up. It was nobody in our family, but things happen outside the family. But I just feel like I never really experienced that part of it because my mom and my grandmother always voiced like, tell. You know what I mean? If anybody touch you, do this, do that. I don't care who it is. Like from a
That
very early age. And I have a daughter that's 6 and she already knows that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know what possibly happened to my mom. You know, people don't talk about things like that. But I know that my mom was very like, she was on it, you know, like tell. You know what I mean? Like if anything happens to you, this is your area, this is your space. And I think as women, you know, that's what we have to do. We have to have those conversations with our daughters, right? This is your body, this is respected, nobody should touch it. Da, da, da. Like you have to have that. And if they do, this is, you know, you have to tell.
So again, I agree with all of that. But you just said that men, that we shifted the conversation of men not protecting women. So in that case, what do you expect for men to do in that position? Just so that we're aware.
So I mean, I feel like if I was in a position like that, the police would be called. But I don't know really what you could do in that situation is besides be there and be supportive. Like call the police. Like, what do I want you to do? Are you supposed to, you know what I mean? If something like that is happening in a family, the thing we need to do is get together as a family and call the police and have them put in jail. I don't think that should be a secret. I think he should be outed, or he or she, whoever that person is, should be outed and ostracized and shouldn't be a part of the family. That's,
but ma'am,
I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Man, that's on any situation then. That's on any situation. Even if it was getting into a verbal altercation, I'm not going to do anything. First of all, I got a wife. So if I got a wife, I got to make sure it's okay. Baby, how do you feel about me stepping in to try to protect this woman from the situation? Because at the end of the day, if something happened to me, it's just her. You going to move on. And maybe this motherfucker may move on. I may not. At the end of the day, I got to worry about me and my family. That's the most important thing. As you, as a stranger agent, I'm sorry, but I don't give a shit about your black ass. But let me tell you one thing I do, and that's Mrs. Hink. I care about her. But if it's going to be a situation I'm going to put myself in to where I can come up missing, I come up harm or hurt, I no longer, yeah, man, I can't do that for you. But what I can do, I'm going to dial them 3 famous digits for your black ass. And I hope you do right and don't go back to the situation so he can continue to whoop your ass. Because if you don't, now I'm starting to think you got a mental problem. And it's out of my hands.
Ladies,
go ahead.
Tesla will soon release the T2000 Boyfriend Edition, protection, coming on the market soon, take it to the club with you, to that Beyonce concert, or just a stroll in the neighborhood.
When you asked that question, were you talking about within the family? Like if there's a situation where we have a predatory person within the family, what would we want the other men in our family to do? Or are you speaking in general of men in the community, period?
I mean, well, it gets super sticky if it's in a community because again, it's one of those situations of where if you do put hands on JoJo down the street, because we know he touched, on such and such, then shit, the family damn, they're gonna press charges, or now we got a family beef. So again, it's one of those situations.
About in the home, then the man in the home, what would we want the men in the family to do?
So in the family, if it's being swept under the rug and we don't know, then what are you expecting for men to do in that case?
Well, in that sense, we can't expect you to do anything, right?
Because you don't know. Because you don't know.
You don't know, right?
But that's
if you
the problem,
did know, okay, so if in that situation, there's nothing you can do. We've taken the choice off of the table for you to make any decision because we as women are trying to handle it ourselves, right? But to answer your question, if there was a situation, I have a daughter, she's 8. And if she went through a situation with a family member or somebody touching her, and I told her father, I would want him to attack him, maybe end him. If not, I would try to. And that's just me. That's with my child because that's her father. And that's just the protective mindset. I don't think I would keep that information from them. But like you stated, if we're keeping it under the rug, there's nothing you can do.
So let me ask you, ladies. let me ask you ladies a question. So you want us to go just off your word? And
About your
go
child,
automatic.
we're talking about your child. That was the
We're talking about your child.
If your daughter,
calm down, ladies, calm down. Doesn't matter if you're a child or not. Do y'all ladies know kids do lie?
Your child, not
I'm gonna say it again. Do y'all realize kids do lie? Even my child lied before. So you want me to see, this is why I can't protect y'all, because y'all don't want to listen. It's hard to protect people who listen. Those are the ones getting left behind. Ladies, kids do lie. They are dishonest. They do play sides. We got to act like they're not all innocent. I know it's your daughter, Ty, and I know she's a beautiful person. Doesn't mean she can't tell a story. Now, let's not use the word lie. Tell a story. I not tell a complete.
I missed it. What was the question?
Shimon, could you hold on? You want a man to react off the first instance instead of investigating, look into it. You just want me go gun ho. That's what I'm talking about. Crash dummy. So then I don't think you really care about that person. You just want the results that you were wrong. Do you understand what I mean, Ty? You want me to go ahead and react off of a hearsay instead of investigate, looking into, find out, hey man, what's going on? My daughter said you done put hands on her in an ungodly way. What the hell is going on before I do something to you? Mm-hmm. You have to do these things. You can't. One of our problems, we just go off of emotions. We do everything off emotions instead of logically thinking, step back, hold on. Let me vet the situation before I react, because if I do something like this, I'll never see my daughter unless it's behind the glass again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that, and I get kids can lie and make up stories, but I would think that you as a parent, you know your child and what they lie about and things that they know, the things that they talk about. My child doesn't talk about things like that. So if she came to me one day after visiting a family member or being with a friend or whatever, which she doesn't do by herself anyway, but if she did, and she told me that, I would be prone to believe her. Now, would I instantly think, oh, let me go investigate this and start asking him all of these questions? To be honest, no, I wouldn't. And that might be because of my own personal experiences, but I definitely would not. I would instantly believe my child and I would go in attack mode. And I'm just keeping it a buck with that. That might be an emotional response, which is why my first mindset would be to bring in her father to tell my brothers and have them handle it. Maybe they'll think more logically, like, let me go ask them a few questions first. But if they did, to be honest with you, it would piss me off and I still would just end up hurting him, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's fair. And you should definitely, I think that you would naturally, any person naturally and instinctively will feel that way. But just like Louise said earlier, when you make lifelong decisions off of temporary emotions, then that can be extremely detrimental. There's a lot of people that's doing a long time in prison and in jail because of that very thing. So I know that men do get pushback on not believing women right off the bat when they do talk about SA. But the fact is, these are the facts, and it's documented that women have been using that to their advantage since the beginning of time. You know, this is topics. This is something that is written in scriptures. You know, so it's one of those deals where a logical man has to, in that moment, be able to remove emotions from making a decision that's literally going to change their life. We just saw, and I don't know if JR gonna play this video, but we just saw old boy crash out on the DCFS guy, where he choked him out in the hotel lobby. You know, was it worth it? You know what I'm saying? To do that. Like, I get it. I'll be pissed. I would want to do the same thing, but now is it worth it to be behind the wall and not be able to protect your daughter from that point on? So that's one of those things where you have to really consider and figure out, does this all make sense for the long-term goal of not only myself but also my family?
What was the? I just want to make sure I'm on the same topic. What was the question?
We talking about so basically that question stemmed off of me asking, what do women expect for men to do when someone is being SA'd within the family but is being swept under the rug?
What do you expect men to do? Handle that.
How can we handle it if it's being swept under the rug?
Well, if you know, then that's them coming to you, right? Now it's up to you to not sweep it under the rug, to handle it. Now, I do know that there are women, especially in the past. I don't think that that's necessarily the same today, but back in the day, that was not abnormal for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know,
they were being protected, and that's the question. What do women expect for men to do when women are protecting the very person that's doing the SA?
Yeah, that's a hard one, because they do be protecting them. I don't understand it for the life of me, but they be protecting them.
But this, it also went to a different turn. Now I left for a minute to went to the bathroom. I don't know if you told about the turn it went to. Ty said she gonna tell the baby daddy, and she expect to handle it. And I think Asia was feeling the same way. So there's no protection for the man at all.
Well, I think that handling it, would mean
no
calling the cops. Like, why are we just not? Why don't you just?
No. That's not what was said. He should do. He should go over and maybe even end the life. Ty said she's going to end the man.
No.
That's what Ty. Ty won't be as the baby daddy to go over and end the man. Take the word. What she say goes.
Yes, I did.
I'm not lying on you, my Ty. Ty, am I not lying on you?
You're not lying.
There you go. So there's no protection for the man.
So I get what Ty is saying. Especially the age of the child. There's a level of, like, even when it's somebody else's kid, I be getting so pissed off. Like, why are you nasty mother? You understand? But even with that being said, I think that you need to. I don't know what's wrong with people calling the cops, but it happens so often. Let me just tell y'all this. This is some nasty shit right here. I got a friend, a close friend. She got an auntie who got a baby by her brother. And the mama did not want to turn him in. The only reason he ended up getting turned in is because she got married to another man. She had 2 kids by that other man, and she found out he was molesting them.
Yeah. So what are we expected to do in that case? So now it got
You're right. I think that anything, you gotta stop him from killing the man. At that point, because a man be like, "Oh, hell no!" You gotta call the cops.
I feel like in that case, if we're justifying unaliving the man, shit, the person that's hiding it should be in that same boat.
I never said anybody should unalive anybody. First of all, I never said that. But I do think
what
that
you just said. You said handle it. Shit, if we gonna handle it, that's the only way to handle it.
No, you need to handle it before I handle it. Handle it does not mean kill somebody. I've never advocated for killing anybody.
Let's make sure we
maybe. Okay, so I'm not about that life.
She said, "Hank, I want you to go end them."
Yeah. So the kind of guys I deal with, I don't think they're gonna murder nobody. I mean, they're not gonna do that to nobody. So
that ain't what Ty wanted. Ty wanted just to
be a good beat down and then call the cops.
No, I didn't know.
Never once did I say the dude.
Ty wants that soul music and cassette carrying going on. That's what Ty wants.
Like, I'm gonna say this, that I can't appreciate I can't appreciate the balance, right? Because you got some parents that wouldn't even care, or some parents that may overlook it. So If I had a choice whether having a tie or somebody that didn't care, I'd rather have that tie. And one thing I did like about what she said was that she understands who she is. She's self-aware. So if we ever have any issues, if somebody ever, because it's common, if you have a child, that conversation has come up. I've had it. Well, I'm going over there. I want to make sure nothing happened. I want to meet. I want to see who's all going to be over there. Okay, she's going over there. Does the father live over there? Is the father in the house? Is there brothers in the house? I need to know every single thing because I need to know what's going on. So I like the fact that she cares and she's self-aware enough to say, hey, this is what's going on. You know how I am. Figure out what's going on quick, fast, in a hurry because I need answers. So I get it. And for people that, hold on, like for people that do wrong and with certain things, I don't mind them suffering. You know, if you get them a quick exit, they're not going to suffer. They need to suffer.
They don't got to go fast.
But I know.
Yeah. But
I care about everybody, but me as the baby daddy. That's who she cares about.
My whole thing though,
because please, she ain't gonna put no cigarettes on my books. She ain't gonna come and see me behind the goddamn glass. I ain't gonna get no more.
I'm gonna do all of that. I'm gonna put money on your book.
I'm gonna be up there with a bunch of hard.
So I think that
all of that. But my thing is, I'm already the type of parent. My child doesn't go to sleepovers without me. Yeah. If there's a sleepover, it's all of my friends. We bring all of our girls. We all sleep together. Mm-hmm. My child doesn't go to family members' houses and stay over there without me. So this has to be a real situation where somebody really betrayed my trust. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so it's like there's so many layers to this where there is no way out. It's not, oh, I'm going to call the police and let them handle it. I'm going to be at your door before any of that can happen, or he's going to be at your door. And if he don't want to do it, cool. I'm not even going to wait on that whole, you don't put me in danger. I put myself in danger. Say less. Me or you. I don't care. It's going to get done, though. That's just me.
I don't care.
I'm get to the super chat. Play this clip. Hold on. Billy Goats. Gruff. $2. Was not a joke, Shimona. And miss with men choose lie.
Excuse me, but I'm gonna drop the link right now.
I don't even understand how you knew what the fuck he was talking about.
Because I remember when he wrote it.
That's what I was like. He paid for that. Don't even know what he said.
I saw when he wrote it. He finna see it right now. I feel like it's hot.
499 Black culture is a result of God's children placed in a wicked system meant to self-destruct. Know thyself before someone else use discernment. Echo again, 499. We need to revisit what made our ancestors survive and pass down their blood to us today. Black culture is anti to what our ancestors believed in. Big Ann 11, $10 says, I agree with Hink. I would tear the whole block down before the people under my covering, but the rest of you don't get that privilege from me. And JR, you know Hink ain't no 6'3". You know he lying. 6'3". Oh man, just like maybe like 6'2". We go ahead and play this clip real quick, and then we'll get to the discussion. I'll go to you, Sham, on that first.
You just made is one of the reasons women feel unsafe.
Thank you.
Not at all.
You left
That
out so
statement,
much
that statement
nuance.
that I made.
You talked about one emotion. You talked about aggression. Women have emotional bandwidth. They have a lot more access to intermediate emotions a lot of men have never even been able to connect to. And the man may have access to maybe 5 bands of emotion. Emotion is still data. That's not processed via what you are great at, which is the logical mind. Women are processing 50, 60 bands a lot of times we can't even see or fathom. So to us, it looks like they fighting ghosts. You just referenced the Me Too movement as a result of
no, you're proving what you just said. You know, the funny thing is, they got so many demons in their mind. Why they need a man? Let me finish. They going through because a man is, bro. It's data out there. Men are analytical, logical thinkers.
To the Me Too movement, that's logical.
Wait, I didn't compare it to that. I said I said that women show aggression through character destruction, innuendo. In regards to the Me Too movement, I was just talking about character destruction.
These are women who have been sexually abused. How you compare that to character destruction?
Okay, from the majority of all of these Me Too movements, well, he did something to me too, with zero proof from 50 years ago.
How do you know who has proof in the Me Too movement?
How do you majority,
know that?
majority.
How do you know that?
I'm speaking generally
Right.
from all the cases that we see.
Personal experiences that
generally
you have no part in.
Generally from all the cases that we see.
Because you've reviewed all the data from all the cases.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Hold on, let me just actually read what he had up under that. Let me see. 1 second. It's bittersweet to have this before my first moment on tonight's I'm the biggest relationship player. Okay. On one hand, I would like to enjoy this moment but more. So I feel empathy for women and the fact that this man is very real. Is a very real representation of the lack of safety y'all feel with us as a whole. I feel empathy for millions of men like me that aren't able to hold these spaces, be vocal, recognized, and often overlooked as if we don't exist or are doing the deep healing work it takes in our own corners or creation that nobody but us and God sees to dismantle the indoctrination of what we have been taught masculinity is. I feel empathy for the victims of rhetoric like this who suffer daily trying to manage these types of inedible wounds they can never fully erase, but also feel energized to continue to stand in the face of this poison from the outdated version of manhood that I see in the beginning stages of death. As a representative of the new version of manhood that is tapped into its feminine energy, that understands the immeasurable value of women, that doesn't see emotion as a threat or deficiency, that understands vulnerability is a superpower that is driven by the merit and values more than money and sex. So this is Brick City Buddha. This is the guy that he was talking to in the green hat. These are his words off his page when he made the post.
I have a question.
Well, like I know Luis haven't gone in a little while, so let him go ahead. And then Sham Monet wanted to say something as well.
I'm gonna say something, and I don't want it to seem or sound judgmental by any stretch of the imagination. That's not where, my heart is leading. But however, I've always found it weird in these years that have passed as I've navigated the world in our social media cultural revolution. I've always found it peculiar that women who tend to participate in this open sex free culture, hookup culture, are the same people who also participate in the Me Too movement. I've always found that to be weird to myself, because how could you participate in something where you put yourself at the highest vulnerability and the highest risk, but at the same time claim to be a victim? Now, this is by no stretch of the imagination victim shaming anybody, but I've always found that the two behaviors are parallel. I've never really coincided with one another. And sort of like we tend to see people not really kind of navigate their thoughts before things evolve into what they are, before we get to the accusations, the Me Too movement, etc. Which there are people out there who have gone through these things. I do feel for them, and we need to be able to kind of differentiate people who tend to kind of put themselves in a lot of compromising situations that end up being part of a movement that is strictly for people who tend to kind of not move in those types of spaces.
So I just for clarity, Louise, you said there. Who are the two people we're talking about? There, which spaces are they? The two, just put them out, like you were saying, women who are like basically out there are saying they're part of the Me Too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So I think that this is what the issue is, right? So because I see that too. So I think that, and this is just a thought, right? I think that because, so let's just say a woman walks around a certain kind of way, right? Men automatically think because she walks around this way, she gives it away. Why not? I can take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not me? They don't treat her with the same respect, let's just say, as a person who doesn't walk around like that. So they feel entitled to it, so to speak. maybe that's what it is. Like saying, okay, because I hear it even in these spaces. Oh, your value, you think that you are this, and this, but you walk. You know how men say they put you in a box by the way you dress, right? Does that make sense? But the way you dress doesn't mean you have access to her. Just because she's dressed a certain way doesn't automatically give you access. So maybe this is just an assumption.
But this is the problem. This is the flaw in your point that you're positioning, is that you could walk into a strip club and there's plenty of beautiful women, topless, etc. That doesn't mean I'm going to jump them, and that doesn't mean that all men are just going to run like the bull, during the Spanish run. Right.
Hold on. Let me clarify the difference between that. You're talking about an organized where you have people who are watching over.
What is the difference between being outside? I don't find the line to be any blurred than being outside or even in an establishment.
There is difference. So one, you're protected by bouncers. You have bosses there. Listen to what I'm saying. And people who go to the strip club aren't bad people. They're just, it's just not the same. But if a person is alone and they go somewhere and these people are like, we see it even on college campuses, are y'all saying that this stuff doesn't happen?
No, he's not saying that it doesn't happen. I think that you kind of mixed it up. Because
I'm not trying to make
a straw man argument at the moment.
Because you're saying.
Listen to it. So let me clarify so you can understand. Okay, there are some people who look at women and feel like because she's dressed a certain way, you should be entitled to her. She means nothing to you. Okay, she puts herself in her room. She's like, oh, she's a floozy. We know she sleeps around with a lot of people. Why not me? And then and she may say no that time. Like, hey, no, I don't want to do. Yeah, this is hypothetical. I don't know.
But you're talking about the lowest. You're talking about the lowest common denominator, i.e., the low hanging fruit versus most typical men. Most men are afraid of approaching women. Most men are not approaching women. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the dudes who approach who might have that mindset and might be like, damn, man, she look good. I'm gonna go holler at her and talk like that.
So
but what you're talking about, hold on, because it's important that we distinguish what you're talking about, because it makes it up and it's very difficult for people to follow along, and also for people to follow along in the chat who are also paying attention. What you just described is the lowest common denominator, that low hanging fruit of a man who has no impulse control at all, who has clearly been raised in the wild with savages. Then you have another sector of men who are afraid of just approaching women. They're not approaching women like that. And then you got dudes who are a little bit ballsy, a little bit more confident, and they will approach. And yeah, they do find you sexually attractive, and they're going to shoot their shot, and they're going to say what's good and stuff like that. That woman might not give him the time of day. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have to move around. She'll move around, etc. But the way you describe, I'm entitled to that. You're talking about an absolute savage. I just don't see dudes walking around that, not even on the average or medium average of dudes. You're talking about a specific smaller group. And when you say that, it creates a very dangerous dynamic. You need to listen.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. So for clarity, I don't think most men are in Me Too movement. So we are talking about a small group of men. We're not talking about general men. Most men are not even in this situation, I would hope. Most men are stand-up kind of guys. Are we not talking about that small group, right? Are most men in Me Too movements?
Well, so
maybe I didn't know we were talking about all men. Maybe I thought we were talking about like the whole low-hanging fruit.
Well, I was under the impression that the Me Too. I was under the impression that the Me Too movement was more so based off of women that have sex with men, but then say that it was forced or that they were drugged or this was I did it so that I can get this role in a movie or something like that. I was under the impression that that's what the Me Too movement was based and started off of. So if a woman is walking around and presenting herself using the same exact example that you brought up, if a woman is walking around that way and she presents herself to that man in that way, then it's kind of like
like what? So this is the thing. So I think that so I was not talking about the general. I'm talking about, so if a person drugs you to have sex with you, that is slum. I don't care what position he's in, that's slum. Okay. So just because you're rich does not mean you are slum, not slum. Let's get that straight. So even in that position, if the girl says no, she says no. Why did you have to drug her? If she said yeah, you don't have to drug her. She's going to give it to you regardless. So if she comes with her cleavage out, you have to wait for her to say yes. It has to be consensual. You understand what I'm saying? Why would you even want her to be drugged to have sex with her? That's crazy to me. So again, just for Louise, this is not majority of men. This is a small group of men who just won't do right. This is not. No, you said it like I'm talking about the average guy, and no. I'm talking about that small group of can't do right, think they entitled to some stuff that they ain't entitled to. Group of dudes they got to drug women for them to sleep with them. Those are the dudes I'm talking about.
So I have a different perspective on the Me Too movement. As far as the men are concerned, most of those men are men in power, right? Like large amount of power. The issue that I personally have with the Me Too movement, and this is not to discredit anyone who is an actual victim of SA or been in compromising positions with these men, is that unfortunately a lot of these victims who come and say that they've been victims, right, are people who put themselves in these situations knowingly that they could be in a compromising position. For instance, let's just talk about P. Diddy's situation. Not the children, not any of that, but the grown women and men who are now coming out against him and saying that they were used and they felt abused and things of that nature. What it all boils down to is that everyone put themselves in that position hoping and thinking that they would benefit from it. So they were willing to do those things until they realized, I'm not really getting what I thought I was going to get out of it. And now it's oh no, he essayed me, or oh no, he forced me to take all of these drugs, when maybe that wasn't necessarily the case. Maybe the drugs were there and you decided to take it and partake in it and do those things because you thought you were going to get something from it. That's my whole issue with the Me Too movement. Do I believe that there are real victims? Of course, right? But I also believe that, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are jumping on the bandwagon to get something from that situation. And what that does is foreshadow and actually discredits the actual victims who dealt with these situations and who actually we should be paying attention to, because everyone else is just trying to jump on a bandwagon to get some type of monetary value from it. Because if this really was a situation where they went through something and they were that traumatized, the first problem is that a lot of these things are not criminal, right? They're not taking it to a criminal court to try to fight these things. A lot of these people are suing. They want money for the situation.
Right.
They want a monetary value from it. So it puts you in a mindset, then what are you really gaining from this? You want to get paid for the things that you went through instead of actually putting this person who is supposed to be a predator away. That's my only issue with the Me Too movement. I feel that it just discredits women as a whole who have actually gone through SA and had to deal with those type of traumas. Even if it's years later and you decide to bring it up, the fact that people are jumping on the bandwagon when they thought they could gain something from it and just didn't end up working out to their benefit just foreshadows the whole purpose.
We saw that with Bill Cosby.
Yes.
It was
yes, they were
like 20 years before.
It was crazy.
But
it was crazy.
Even to watch the documentary of hearing the women talk, it was one where she was like, he invited me to the show. I came to the back and it was a bunch of people there, and then all of a sudden it was nobody else there but the two of us, and we ended up having sex. It was like, you knew exactly what you was doing. So but somehow, some way, he SA'd you. It's like, come on now. But due to the fact of the Me Too movement, due to the fact of the feminist movement, he got demonized for having consensual sex with this woman that wanted it during that time period. But now, since everybody came out and was saying that, oh, he SA'd me, he SA'd me, it was like, well, shit, everybody was popping pills and having sex back then.
They sure were.
You knew exactly what you was doing.
Your mic is on, JR.
Oh, my bad. What's going on, Kenneth?
What's going on, JR? How you doing, man?
Not much. What you got, brother?
Hey, man, I just got done live streaming. Just wanted to come show some love. Saw the topic, and I'm listening. In a nutshell, Me Too is a cult for ugly women. Women who don't have a voice or never had a voice before. They were empowered, particularly the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration with all this wokeism. But generally speaking, if you really look at it for what it is, it was started by a hideous woman. I forgot her name. This woman looked absolutely atrocious.
Was that the one?
I can't remember her name. She looked like Jabba the Hutt. I mean, it's the truth, man. Most men are not out here essaying women. Most women are whores, respectfully. And I say that respectfully. Most women are whores, and there's nothing wrong with that. Women are supposed to be supposed to like sex, and men are supposed to like it as well. And what I've noticed is that when people don't have power, they will manufacture power, and sex is a way for women to manufacture power over men. Women are weaker than men. We all know that, and that's why I tell people, man, the older you get, stay away. Have a recording, something, man. Because you can get Me Too, women, I gotta say this, not all women, but a woman can lie, and when she lies, she will use sex as that weapon, so it's hard out here, man. That's why I'm preparing for sex robots. Look into that, guys. That's why I'm preparing for that day.
Boy, ain't you married, boy?
Oh, I'm married, but I know how to operate around women. I don't entertain drunk women. I'm not around drunk women. If I meet with the woman, it has to be somebody around. Oh, hell no. I've been around too many women who lie, man. And yeah. So that's it for me, man. That's all I gotta say about that one.
Yeah. All right. You good, Aish?
I'm good.
Okay. That do well-being check I seen. And that look, I didn't know what that look was, but
hey, so I do have a question that old boy had said. He mentioned something about women.
Call him old boy. Who you talking about?
I don't even know the nigga name. The other the dude that's not Cooley.
Oh, okay. You talking about the video? Okay.
Chaotic. His name's Chaotic Truth.
No, not Chaotic. In the video.
I think he made a video.
In the video, but he had mentioned something about women have more emotions than men. What is that?
Yeah, he was doing the most. Like, it's okay. Look, it's okay to say, women process emotions completely different than men. They go through whatever period, et cetera, et cetera. I'm willing to accept that. I embrace that. I fully understand it. But this, like, Super Saiyan level 50, and then it goes deeper than there. It's like, bro, you're doing way too much, man. Like, just we understand it affects them completely different. We will never understand that. They will never understand it from the reciprocal standpoint. Let's just learn how to have empathy and know how to navigate and handle people in those types of situations. But all this extra stuff, it's like, bro, were you a woman in your previous life? Do you menstruate? Like, he dudes that fucking do too much, man. What?
Luis, I think, I understood as a woman what he was saying, and I believe he was saying that women, we process, first of all, it's not just one basic emotions. Our emotions are layered, right? Like, it's not, I'm just sad. It's, like sad, frustrated, this, that, and the third. And it's because of our makeup. For
So,
instance, just give
so
you an
men don't
example.
experience that.
I'm going to give you an example, Viz. Okay.
Okay.
When a woman is on her menstrual, right? Women go through 4 different phases every single month. Each phase is called something different. You go through PMS. When you go through PMS, you can be angry, frustrated, happy, sad, and it constantly switches for whatever reason. Now, the other guy called it like demons, but what he was trying to say is that women are always operating on a different emotional plane, I feel, than men operate. And it's because of your makeup. You are logical creatures. If we go back to just the general makeup of men and women, we are the nurturers. We're supposed to operate on a different level of emotional intelligence than a man is supposed to operate. You're not supposed to think like us or operate on that emotional plane because it would never work for you. But I think that's exactly where he was coming from. It wasn't that he was doing too much. He was just trying to get him to understand that there is a difference when it comes to emotions. I'm not discrediting that a man have emotions. Of course you have emotions, but it's not on the same intensity as women. And it's just because we are women.
That's the part that I don't understand. Like how do women, or even him as a man, how can he say that men don't experience the same exact emotions that women experience? The only difference between man and woman is sexual organs. We both think the same. Our brains both function the same. There's
We don't think the same.
we do think the same.
Our brains don't even function the same.
Our brains don't function the same.
They don't.
That's only because we're trained.
Our emotional capacity.
That's only because we are trained over time as adolescents. We've conditioned and trained our minds and our bodies and all of that to think and react a certain type of way. But the truth is that just as y'all feel anger, frustration, and all of the shit that y'all feel, men feel that as well. We just express it differently. So to say that women experience emotions more or differently, that's a flat out lie. It's like how can you say that, especially as a man? You know, we all know and can agree that men unalive themselves at a much higher rate. There's a reasoning for that. So if
do you think it's the lack of you being able to process your emotions?
I mean,
I think it's more from. I think it really stems more from not being able to kind of vent or being able to kind of channel whatever frustration you have into or process it, right? A lot of people develop outlets for how they handle stress, for how they handle trauma, for how they handle, aggression or even confrontation for that matter. This is why it's so important to have a circle of men group, and it's also important to have people to kind of, talk to, especially when you're going through something. Like, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. Me and Kenny always say that all the time, and unfortunately, there are a lot more outlets today, but somehow the conversations seem to be taboo that you're supposed to just grind it through. Reality that it's just part of your maintenance. It's just part of how we, navigate. The way we think and the way we react to things is way different than 10 years ago and today. It's just that we've developed a completely different tool set of skills of how we navigate and how we cope and how we handle these different levels of frustration.
Let me play this clip real quick.
Tell you this story now. Why does it matter to you so much to say that I'm trying to assassinate somebody's character?
Yeah, and that's not what I'm saying.
I'm not. Yeah. I know that's not what you're saying to me personally.
That's what you're saying to women.
Yeah, it's
everything you say generally. If someone is a part of a Me Too movement, they take it personally.
If they do, they have a weakness.
I want to double back and say this. I'm a grown man. I'm a 35-year-old man that ain't scared of nobody. But if I think about my abuse long enough, I'll sit on this podcast and cry. With millions of dollars, can fight anybody. You take me back to that childhood boy who was helpless in those moments. It's gonna get me. I'm saying there's too many people that can relate to this.
Thank you for your transparency, for your vulnerability. It's hard for me to hold my tears back listening to you.
It takes strength to have empathy. It takes strength to receive 5 other people accomplished in all sorts of ways. Yeah. Just imploring you, think on it. Strength, somebody being able to raise their hand and say, me too. Protecting women, so much bigger than just physical. There's a woman right here. If you look at her, I believe your words are hurting. Cam, if you can, just put a trigger warning before we get into this episode, just so people know what we're about to talk about. And I'll see you next Thursday. Peace.
What you laughing at, Viz?
Him going into old girl arms. That was. Hey, my bad if that's. But yeah, that's a little too much, man.
See, that's the reason why men don't feel comfortable expressing their emotions. We talked about this before, and Louise just brought up the fact that, it's about having a community, but man keep man from having that community, because you don't even know what just happened in that. He could have started crying, and I'm pretty sure she hugged him. He didn't fall into her arms, but because he did that and he had a vulnerable moment, now that's funny to you.
That's fair. I'll take the I'm off count. I'll take that. Right. But it is amusing. It even with them both doing that, it seems that he literally just contradicted his exact statement of men not exploring or having all of these different levels of emotions.
Who was helpless in those moments. It's gonna get me. I'm saying there's too many people that can relate to this.
Thank you for your transparency, for your vulnerability. It's hard for me to hold my tears back listening to you.
It takes strength to have empathy. It takes strength to receive 5 other people accomplished in all sorts of ways. Yeah. Just imploring you, think on it. Strength, somebody being able to raise their hand and say, me too. Protecting women, so much bigger than just physical. There's a woman right here. If you look at her, I believe your words are hurting. Cam, if you can, just put a trigger warning before we get into this episode, just so people know what we're about to talk about. And I'll see you next Thursday. Peace.
I think also, okay, ladies, if I could interject for 1 second before the brother Chaotic Truth goes.
You bogus for running it back, bro.
So I think that spaces like that, just men talking to other men, is needed, but without the cameras and all the theatrics and stuff like that. It's just a room, no windows, just one door. Y'all sit down, y'all talk about it and stuff like that. Some of there's certain conversations that do not belong on social media. I'm sorry. There's certain things that should not be disclosed. There's certain things that should not be let out. It's Pandora's box. There's some things that are very sensitive to certain individuals who have really gone through some very traumatic and dark things. I don't believe that it is for the consumption and entertainment of everybody. A lot of people who have never gone through that don't know how to handle that, right? And sort of with that being said, I think that if we're going to have conversations like that, I think it's important to stay within certain color lines. But when you're having a group of men who are actually trying to be vulnerable and share things like the brother was sharing in the beginning, right? I think that's really off camera. Because what happens is if we do this long enough, people are going to look at it from a standpoint of either weakness or a mockery. And sort of that veil has to be protected. So,
who are the people that you're speaking about, Louise?
Well, I'm talking about the individuals who engage in that kind of sensitive conversation. And
I'm saying you said people are going to look at it from a very mockery.
Well, people who have never experienced or gone through something like that. If I can't relate to you, right? Because even if I personally have never gone through that, that's not my experience, and that's not my lived experience, but I'm human enough to empathize with your experience to say, hey, I understand what you're going through or what you're going through. I can't talk about it from a personal lens. However, I can imagine the pain, the suffering, and the traumatic, experience that you have gone through, right? So having that human element to it allows you to kind of connect people even though you haven't gone through it. And I just don't think that today in this kind of climate that we're there yet. We find we there's videos of people jumping off a roof onto the car, and we find this hilarious and stuff, not knowing that dude probably fractured 2 T's in his back. And sort of like we're just like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's different because
thank you. That was the word.
In that case, I think it's different because they're doing it for entertainment. In that situation, I would not have laughed if it was all men there. If it was all men
it was
there,
a woman there, you laughed, right?
because of what we just saw, the clips that we just saw. To me, so the way that I analyzed it, the fact that he was, in my opinion, just like I think either Chaotic or Luis had mentioned, how they were reacting, how they were doing, how dude was doing the most, and saying that that women experience more emotions than men. So to me, it almost sounds like I'm hyping this up in order to protect this woman, in which, okay, that's cool, but for you to go to that extent, in my opinion, it's like it's unnecessary. But again, I think that if it was a panel of all men, then I could for sure respect that.
How was it?
So like I do want to say this. And I'm gonna go to Ty and then to get Chaotic in there. But so this conversation took place on tonight's conversation app, and he was the guy in the green, which is Brick City Buddha. He was the one that took these clips and actually put it together. So I think he intentionally wanted to show the emotion that he was trying to put out there. But this is what he had in the caption. Many of the men on the tonight's conversation clips I've been posting have been disheartened, to say very least. They would rather focus on false accusations than advocate women in the face of a man saying he believes majority of women lie about essay. These same men claim to be logical, but logical is based on facts. Facts only 4 to 8% of SA cases are proven false. Fact is 1 in 4 women globally report experiencing SA. Fact is 1 in 3 are young girls. Fact usually at the hands of someone they or their family know. Fact is, this doesn't include the many women who never report or say a word. Yes, false accusations are terrible and destroy men's lives when it happens, but based on the facts, the false accusations are not happening at the epidemic level of women being violated. So this is just some of the things that he was saying up under the post, so you can kind of get where he was going with it. But go ahead, Ty, then Chaotic.
I was just going to say that I think, and I understand after you explained this, why you may have reacted that way. And I think a lot of men would have reacted that way because Chaotic was also kind of like, what made him a little uncomfortable, right? But that proves the point of men not having the emotional bandwidth of women. Because you sit here and you talk about how many men kill themselves a year based off of the stresses that they're going through and how they need outlets for such things. And these men were vulnerable enough to use their platform as a way to open a door for an outlet for men to express their emotions as they come naturally. And they were automatically persecuted and judged by other men for it, which goes back to our conversation we had before, Luis, when we talked about this on a previous podcast. And I stated that men keep men from being emotionally vulnerable. You stop yourselves. You keep yourselves from being able to express yourselves the way you need to because you're afraid of being judged by other men, by being seen as weak. by other men, because that wasn't funny to me. I understood his pain automatically. When the host was talking, I understood his pain automatically. I could see that maybe he went through something. We don't know what these men went through. Everybody goes through something. These are two grown Black men sitting on a couch. We all know that Black men go through a lot of things that you don't talk about. So for them to be vulnerable enough to share that and then to automatically be judged by it just proves the point that you guys are holding yourselves back because you're afraid of what other people think of you or what other Black men are going to think. And Viz, unfortunately, you just proved my point by your instantaneous reaction, you and Chaotic.
Hey,
Hold on. Let's get chaotic.
I'm keeping it a buck with you. I get it. I understand.
I thought I was watching a stand-up comedy routine with that nigga crying like a Ty. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. I love ChatGPT. I've been using it lately. Here goes the sorry guys, I'm a little slow right now. I've been live streaming all day. Ty, let me tell you something real quick. Where is it at? Oh, here it is. No, here it is. I got it right here. This is from the Global Slavery Index. Currently, right now, across the globe, 40 million people are living in slavery. Here goes another stat for you guys. 700 million people across the planet outside of America are living in extreme poverty. You guys should look at India. I've seen videos of Indians defecating on the street and just walking on by, open air defecation by food. There are people who are living in places where they don't even have a pot to piss in. And I got two niggas on the stage in the wealthiest country on the planet crying in some broad's arm. That's shameful, to be honest with you. These niggas ain't went through nothing. I'm not saying people don't have any traumatic events in America, but generally speaking, it's shameful when rich Americans are walking around trauma bonding, first world trauma bonding, and you have people across the planet that are being forced to work in cobalt mines in Congo. The Uyghurs in China are being treated really bad. You have Kim Jong-un in North Korea. There's satellite images of this crazy man. He has death camps for people who speak out against the North Korean government. And I got to watch two wealthy Black men who are in a far better condition than most men on the planet up there crying about some perceived trauma they supposedly went through in a first world nation. That's shameful. Hell yeah, me and Viz were laughing. Hell yeah, I'm laughing. Get over it, man. This is America. You know how you get over things as a man, Ty? Exercise, eating good, running, building. I have a hobby or something. Not sitting there on some stage. And I think them niggas lying. I think it's all for entertainment. I'm gonna say it again. That's shameful, Ty. I think about these beautiful white young boys, 19, 20 years old, storming the beaches of Normandy. And I think about their descendants, these white, soft soy boy liberals now. And I think about the Black men. I know old niggas, 80 years old, 90. They know. Tell me I'm lying. Anybody on the panel that's a man, tell me you don't know an old Black man that know 10 different things. He know how to do plumbing, electrical work. Tell me, I bet every man on the panel knows this. The old Black man kept himself busy. And you could even argue that those Black men lived under harsher times, supposedly. No, Ty. No, sweetheart. No, sweetheart. That man, no, hell no. We got to laugh at him. And you got to do it. Ain't no trauma bonding for no goddamn man. All this therapy, that's nonsense. No. The only therapy a man really needs is 7 grams of psilocybin mushrooms. Other than that, nah, man, that's weak. No.
Hey, wait, hold on. I gotta separate myself on that. I gotta separate myself on that one. I was with you for a second, but
come on.
No, but I get what you're saying, but I think that that's a completely different scenario. Those people that's in India, and they've already been conditioned to live under those terms and circumstances. With us being in America, and not to take away from whatever dude has experienced, but for me, I listen to what people say, the subcontext of what they say, and for him to say, "Oh man," just hearing that, I'm holding back tears. To me, that sounds like a facade. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm being genuine and real in that moment, that's not something that a motherfucker gonna say, in my opinion. So I think that was more so just for entertainment. They understand the business. These men are successful for an extremely wise reason, because they understand how to use and manipulate the internet in order to get views, to get clicks, to get comments, so on and so forth. So for me, when I watch it, that's what I'm keeping in mind, that this is their intention behind doing it. So when he's having this moment right now that he was doing on camera, I feel that was genuine. But him, when he did that, that's fake. You know what I'm saying? That's him just putting on a show because he knows that this is going to get clout, which is why he used the caption that he used with the video. I know that this is going to get people to conversate. This is going to get some views, all the clicks, all that shit. So when I see him do that, and for him to fall into her arms, this is all a show. So when you do that, that is detrimental, in my opinion, to Black men as a whole, because we're already going through a phase in America where Black men are being effeminated. So I think that, again, this is something that is needed for sure, but this is something that is needed when you are around men. And that is how you teach other men to feel vulnerable in that moment in order to embrace. Because now I can embrace my brother because I understand what you're feeling, much rather than me doing this and falling into the arms of a woman for clout.
Before I leave, guys, real quick. Now, I didn't have the luxury of being tall like you, Hank. And I didn't have the luxury of having good looks like the rest of the guys on the panel. Pause. I got called ugly. I thought ugly was my middle name growing up as a kid. I got called ugly all the time. You know, you ugly little nigga, man. Little ugly dude. You know, short. You know, I got called short all the time, you know? Now, I wasn't bullied or anything, but, you know, when you look like a Ninja Turtle in the face, you know, it's hard for a motherfucker not to notice that. Could you imagine me trauma bonding with some chick, Aisha, Ty, Coco? Oh, they called me ugly when I was a kid. No. Let me tell you something, Coco. You know what I did when I got called ugly for the first time in second grade? I'll never forget it. I said, let me go home and look at myself in the mirror, because I know my mom ain't lying to me. I swear to God, JR. Your father, your mother, they'll tell you that you're the most handsome, good-looking kid. But when you walk out that door, the world is going to remind you what you are. And you got to be a better person. So, Ty, what I did, I said, I'm going to be funny. I'm going to be witty. I'm going to be the voice of the room, you know? And it made me a better person by knowing that I was an ugly little dude. So that's why I was able to conquer environments wherever I went, you know? And I think that's what a lot of people have to do. I don't know what this guy went through as a kid, but he has to get over it. He has to do something. He's 40. I mean, that dude looks about 40 years old. He has to figure it out. It seems like he hasn't figured it out, because I could always trauma bond and cry on Coco's arm, you know, just metaphorically speaking, but she'll be like, "That's nigga a bitch, man." No, you have to get over these things, man, by developing your character. And on that note, salute to you guys. Positivity's coming your way, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, thank you, brother. Hey, let me ask you ladies a question. You know, you guys got an opportunity to see that video play out. multiple times. And I would like to ask you, do you think or believe that there are women today who can handle a man being that vulnerable or being to that level where something triggers them inside and they become inebriated into that state? Do you find whether it's no, I want to talk about relationship, right? Like, because in friendship is a completely different dynamic in how we sympathize with each other. But I think from a relationship standpoint, do you believe that most women know how to handle a man's vulnerability in that state?
I believe we talked about this before, Louise, but yes, I do. And I think if there's any place where my man can be extremely vulnerable in that state, and I'm not saying this is all the time, right? Because men are not breaking down, crying at every little thing. But if you get to a point where something is triggering you that bad, or you're having thoughts, or you're going to that place that makes you break down, I want you to be able to depend on me to be able to handle that. I would do the same thing that the woman is doing. There are things that are going to happen throughout life that a man is going to break down, and I'm not going to judge him because he cries or decides to cry in my arms, because I've probably done that 200 more times than he did it that one. You know what I mean? Compared to that one time. I don't think that's a problem. I would rather you feel safe enough with me to be that vulnerable than not. Because like you and Viz were saying earlier, if you don't feel that safe, then you're going to look for other outlets to try to distract your mind from those things instead of just dealing with it. So I think it's possible.
But I don't disagree with you. I think it is possible, but I also think it takes a certain level of maturity and a certain level of life experience, right? A lot of people just don't. A lot of people, unfortunately, man, like a lot of people today just don't have that level of maturity, don't have that level of emotional intelligence, maturity, know how to be stoic and be present in the moment, right? And not allow that situation to take them back to something they once went through. So it really, really depends on, a lot of people's personal lived experience, to know how to handle that, because unfortunately there are people who don't know how to handle that and they make situations even worse.
I agree with you, but I do think there are women who can.
All right, go. You've been quiet over there. You good? Doing a well-being check on you.
You hear me?
Yes, Miss Coco Stiletto.
Yeah, Coco.
Well, I wanted to say something when we was talking about the Me Too thing, because it just made me think about experience that I had. So, like, this was 20 years ago. This was when I was 22 years old, 23, and I was fresh out of college, and like my real first job. And long story short, I started working at this place in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I was a temporary restaurant manager. I was like going in different territories, like hiring people and then filling them in. So I'm in this area and I'm working. I'm the only black chick, and it was one other black manager, and then everybody else, was, white or whatever. So long story short, with me, and then think about this. This is a girl from Gary. So, it's different. And my family protected my sister and I. We never could spend night at nobody's house. We just couldn't. And anytime we went somewhere, my grandfather went in the house, talked to whoever, or my mom went in the house. Oh, that's what it was. So now I'm like in the restaurant. I mean, I'm in the kitchen and I'm like bent over and I'm like counting the steaks because I'm about to change shift. I'm about to leave. He about to come in and take over the shift. So I'm counting the steaks on the line so I can make sure nobody stole steaks when they left the shift. And I'm bent over, and then this guy, the black manager, he like walks up to me and he like puts his like hard thing on my ass. So I felt it right away and I jumped up and I just turned around and was like, "Bam!" Like I just like, punched him in his chest. He was like, "Do that shit again, I'm gonna whoop your ass." So I just like went off on him and he was like, "Oh," and he just left me alone. In my mind, I handled it. So I'm in the office, but I'm mad because I done hurt my nail. So I'm in the office doing something, and my bar lead, she comes in the office and she's like talking to me, whatever. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "My finger hurts." She's like, "What?" I said, "'Cause I just punched Dennis in the damn chest." And she was like, "Why?" I was like, "'Cause he nasty ass gonna put his damn dick on my ass, whatever, when I was bent over." And she was like, "He's disgusting." And I was like, "I bet you won't do that shit again." So I'm good. A couple weeks go by, I done went on vacation. I come back from vacation. It was a whole investigation. And it was because of my situation. In my mind, I handled it. And it could be because I was young, immature, don't really realize what happened. But in my mind, I hit the dude in the chest and I threatened him. And I don't think he's going to do it again. But I come back from vacation. It was a whole investigation. Come and find out this guy was fired from another restaurant company for sexual harassment. It just went so big. And all I know is I'm coming to work and they like asking me questions and they like, "Well, why didn't you say anything weeks ago?" And I was just like, because I thought I handled it. So some of them was thinking like, "Oh, she just all of a sudden saying something." No, like I'm saying something because y'all asking me. Like, but the girl that I was talking to, she the one that went and told. She ain't like that. She was like, "Nah." And so she came to me and told me like, "Look, I had to say something. It bothered me." And I called corporate and told them like he shouldn't be doing that or whatever. She's like, "I know you punched him and everything, but he shouldn't be doing that." And I was like, "Okay." And he lost his job and stuff. But then people was looking at me like, "Damn, Chanel, she be flirting with him or whatever. Like she got him lose his job." In my mind, like it just snowballed. So like sometimes like I do believe some of those Me Too people, like I do think that they got pulled in because somebody else got offended and knew about it and said something and now you got pulled in. But again, I was young. I should have probably went the way that she went. But in my mind, I punched him in the chest and he wasn't gonna do it no more. So I just wanted to share that story because it just made me think about how it snowballed and people was looking at me like, "Oh, now she want to say something like she might be lying or whatever, or she probably went out with him." Like they was making up all kind of stuff.
That's a wild ass situation, and it damn near goes back to what we were talking about earlier. With you not saying nothing, you damn near protecting them. And you said that people were saying that y'all was flirting. Like, was you flirting with them?
No, I never was flirting with him. Like, no, that's what like the directors, like the people that were coming in to like investigate, they were asking, "Do you think that any other employees think, that you were flirting with this guy, whatever?" I think they assumed because we were the only two black ones. We was black, so it was kind of like we talked to each other like we black, like we say we knew how to talk to the white people the way they talk. But he was from Chicago, I'm from Gary, so it was like, and I worked with him for months, so I don't know why people would think that, but obviously, and when the investigation happened, he had a history of getting fired from 2 other jobs for sexual harassment. But in my mind, like I'm saying, I was very young and immature. I didn't realize that was wrong what he. Well, I knew it was wrong what he did, but I thought I handled it. In my mind, I punched him in the chest. We good. He ain't gonna do it no more. And if he do, it's gonna be problems. I look back now. Yeah, I could have did it differently, but no, I wasn't flirting with him or anything. That's just how he was. Like I didn't see it coming. When I turned around, I thought it was one of the Mexican guys that always try to holler at me. And when I turned around, I saw it was him. That's what made me punch him. I'm like, "Wow, like I know you ain't just do that." So, like, it threw me off. But, it was because somebody else was offended how it got so out of hand. And it was somebody else that it didn't even happen to. It was just because I told her what happened. And she was like, "Nah, I'm telling." And I didn't know she was telling. I knew nothing. No one said nothing to me. This was like 3 weeks later after I came back from vacation. And I got pulled into a situation. And, of course, people that was cool with him was like, "Oh, two of the waitresses didn't like me. So they just, she's a flirt." I was young too, like one of the youngest managers there. The bartender was older than me. The waitresses was older than me. He was in his 40s. I'm 22. Like I'm young, so it was a lot for me. But again, like I said, the Me Too situation, it does grow like that, but it kind of grows sometimes with just other people like getting pulled in. Like I said, I handled it. It wasn't gonna happen again. But no, he lost his job and everything for it.
Coco, you did,
and I wasn't protecting him.
You didn't handle it though.
I'm telling you, at that age, at my mind at that time, yeah, like I come from the hood. Like when dudes used to sneak up on me and kiss me, like I would punch him. Like so, I treated him like I treated anybody, like, and they didn't do it no more. When I punched them, I told them I'm gonna get my brother, they would leave me alone, So I handled him the only way I knew how. I didn't see it as sexual harassment until it like got blown out of proportion because the girl told, and she was offended because she knew about it. The Mexican dude that was in the kitchen, he told on him because the Mexican dude saw me punch her because he was like, Chiquita, why he always call me Chiquita? Chiquita, why you hit Dennis like that? And I was like, because he's nasty. So everybody told people that saw it. So, and I like again, what was the reason for me to protect them? I thought I handled it.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
yeah, no, not saying nothing is protecting them essentially, though.
What you say they call? You say they called you tequila?
Chiquita. I guess that's shorty, Chiquita. Like the Chiquita banana. Yeah.
Aisha, I'm curious what you're thinking, Aisha. You just been pretty quiet since Chaotic been on.
Ooh. I feel the same way Ty feels about the Me Too movement. I think a lot of those stories were orchestrated. I think that women put themselves in those positions. I talked to my mom. My mom lived during the Quaalude era. And yeah, people were just taking those like they take ecstasy or any other drug. Like it was pretty normal. I don't think that anybody put a gun up to anyone's head or threatened anyone's life to do these things. I think that they were having fun. They thought that they were going to get something out of it. And when they didn't get what they wanted, then now they're jumping on this bandwagon to say, I had these experiences that are completely fabricated, only to get financial gain. And I think that the Me Too movement it didn't go over well for any of our Black men. So I don't agree with the Me Too movement at all.
Hey, Aisha, how do you feel about Buddy crying?
That was fake. That wasn't for real. You guys know that this social media stuff, most of that stuff is made up. Hank is not gonna fall into my lap and start crying. Like, ain't no. I would have probably pushed him on the floor. I don't know. I knew that it wasn't genuine. I'd have been like, "What is happening? I would have pushed you on the floor." Like, so no, that's fake. That's not genuine. And I feel like the men that are around us and in our circle genuinely know that they can come to us, my brother, my cousins, whoever. Like, I'm here. I support Black men. I support their emotions. So I think that, more people have to get on board, but please don't fall into my arms or try to do any of that. I'm here to support you in any way I can, but yeah, that was completely fake. That was completely for us to talk about right now on this podcast. So.
What about you?
I'm trying to figure this out now, ladies, because we saying, God damn. we saying that whatever the woman say or your daughters say, it's facts. But my man, he's going through some shit. It's all fake. God damn, we can't win for losing, boy. We can't win for losing in this piece. I'm just saying, Ty. You want baby daddy crash the fuck out.
Don't say I'm just saying Ty, because I was the main advocate for him and his tears. Thank you very much, Hank. Let's push that energy somewhere else. I want him to cry.
You remember what I said, though, Ty? Remember what I said?
Child. Yes.
Okay. So you remember what I said, though, right? I'm going to take my big 6'3" ass to the police station. They're going to laugh at me. Do you still believe me when I say they're going to laugh at me? Or you think I'm being extra?
I don't think
after what you see today, after what you just see today, you don't think they're gonna laugh at me like Viz and Chaotic
Well, if you have a police officer like this and chaotic, then maybe they will. Okay.
Hey, hold on.
But if it's a police officer like Luis, I think he will take your complaint seriously.
He gonna laugh.
If it's JR, I think he'll listen.
Be falling on the goddamn floor.
She said she gonna let me fall gonna laugh in the car.
Is that what you told me? She said she gonna let my big ass fall on the floor.
I wouldn't do that to you, Hank. I wouldn't let you fall on the floor.
If you call the police on, if he called the police on a woman, like, I'm going to laugh.
That's crazy. But a woman can be threatening his life. You know, size doesn't matter. Like, women, let's be honest. When women are really angry, a woman that is unstable, it's dangerous. Okay, a woman can poison you. She can stab you in your sleep. We can do very vindictive things for women who are not mentally all the way there or at the emotional maturity level that they're supposed to be. So it doesn't matter how big a man is. Maybe she can't out tussle you, but she can catch you in a vulnerable position and still hurt you. That's just the facts.
What was the lady, Lorena Bobbitt?
Who cut her man thing off? Come on now.
He was just reading my mind.
Come on now. Like, let's not act like these things don't happen. It's literally stories about women who, like, were serial killers and only killed men. Brought them in on the, expectation of sex, love, relationship, and killed these men for gain. It can happen.
Cardi B. Shit.
Yeah.
Tall or not, Hank. Okay.
Hey,
let me hit the goddamn floor, man. That killed me out with that one.
Hey, just so y'all know, that they got Buddha. I mean, he's one of those like spiritual brothers. Like him and his wife, they like interlock. Candles and one of them deep brothers, man. I don't know. I think he may have been crying for real. If you go to this page,
I think he was.
If you go to this page and like look at his stuff, he seems to tap into that side that a lot of people don't tap into. So he's one of those woke brothers, like earthly.
So JR, you think it was a single tear rolling down his cheek?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. You say
he got a single tear.
Yeah.
I think you be advocating for the man.
I mean, like they'll go, it's like they'll go sit on the sand.
I don't know. I didn't really see the situation.
Yeah, somebody in the comments say he be crying every day. So I don't know, man.
Man. Like,
so this is what he does.
I get it.
He's emotional.
Is he a Cancer? What is his?
I don't follow him like that. I think he's supposed to come on King Talk one time, and then he didn't wind up coming on. I know he has been making some waves, and some people has been relating to him. He's one of those guys that taps into his emotions, and he has no problem sharing it.
So again, he's doing this for social media. That's what it's. So this is his ploy, because that's what it's giving.
I don't know.
I mean,
that's
what it really seemed like to me. I for sure 100%. I'm all for men being vulnerable, but yet there is a time and a place and a space for that. If you're just doing it just willy-nilly every day on social media, you're looking for attention. That's the flat out truth about it. You make money off of social media. We know that you can play into people's emotions in order to connect with them and to build your brand and all of this other shit. We have to understand and know how to distinct the difference between someone being authentic and genuine and someone just doing the shit for clout. And a lot of people are doing shit nowadays just for clout. And when you get caught up in that, that is an extremely dangerous space, because most people, especially now, they don't know how to decipher the two. So now we have people now going to the extremes of doing all of this crying shit. We just talked about Tia Mowry the other day, the couple shows ago, where she's essentially doing the same shit. For all we know, she damn near got divorced just for the clout. You know what I'm saying? Just so that she can create these TV shows. It's a real thing now. So I think we have to pay attention to that type of stuff and understand how to decipher between the two of somebody actually being vulnerable and somebody actually playing on other people's emotions.
Tina for sure is clout chasing off of her divorce. Let's just call a spade. And she still loves that man. And just go get your husband. Like, why are you out here playing it? It is a social media game, because just go back and get your husband, man. I think that everything she does is staged. I think that she has about 20 cameras at her house at all times. And that's probably why they start having problems, because he wanted a for real marriage and she wanted a social media marriage. So
yeah, after hearing what Ty said about somebody potentially touching her daughter, and then following up to say that, oh, if this nigga is crying in my arms, I'm gonna be okay. I don't believe that. You might be okay with it a couple times, 1 or 2 times type of deal. But if this nigga doing it every day, you
I
know.
didn't say every day, BS.
But he does
every day.
They just
men don't usually do that.
They just said that he does it every day.
That's different. Every day is a lot. That's a lot. He's very hyper emotional.
He smile like, yeah, we finally on the. I'm like,
that's hyper emotional. Most men I know in my
and in that moment,
they're not doing that.
Chill. I'm not gonna go at this brother, right? And I had no idea where the conversation was gonna go. Our initial conversation was about some whole other shit. And when that Me Too statement came about 10 minutes into the episode, because now there's no longer an option for me to just chill. Because now you're saying something that, as a masculine protector of both sides, I got to stand up for my ladies, bro. I got to stand up for my sisters. I got to stand up for my mother, God rest her soul, who also experienced sexual abuse. I got to stand up for, my nieces, the women I counsel, right? The shoulders that I've stood on of feminine energy. I got to stand up for that, bro. You're not going to do that in front of me. I'm not going to be on this podcast and you just going to fly off the handle. I'm going to let you just get this shit. So the exchange that I did post, the exchange that y'all did see, my Newark was coming out. Brick City Buddha, the Brick City was starting to surface. I'm a completely different person than I used to be. Me 10 years ago did more than just talk. I say it like that. And I felt that coming up. And even in that, I was still able to stay poised enough to respect the platform, to respect his autonomy to say what he needed to say. But I was getting to the point where it's like, nah, I'm gonna need to fuck this nigga up right now, right? Not for me, for what he represents, for the jabs he's been taking at my sisters, the women on his platform the whole weekend. And now you want to go to the degree of saying the majority of women lie about sexual abuse in the Me Too movement. At this point, it's too dangerous. And if y'all niggas not going to do it, I'm gonna have to do it. I knew the women was exhausted at this point. So I knew I had to do that in that moment. And if you see the episode, shout out to all of y'all that's downloaded the app off the strength of me, off the strength of what I posted. But if you see the full episode, I still don't even talk much. That was one particular exchange where I felt like what I gave in that moment started to create chinks in his armor. And he started to stutter. And he wasn't as eloquent. And he was fishing for points at this point. And then with the vulnerability that Ace and Dimitri ended up bringing, it further disintegrated his impetus and just trying to drive home his points and debate niggas. Now it's no longer debate energy. Doc's already kind of put you in your place to a certain degree, but now it's beyond what Doc's did. Now Ace is saying something that is infusing so much vulnerability and transparency into this moment that the debate shit is null and void. You can try to do it. He's still attempted to do it, but now it just don't even make sense. Now you know you look stupid. And then, of course, Donnie being the person she is, shout out to Donnie, man. Like, I got a lot of respect and love for Donnie. She has the perfect balance of masculine and feminine energy, which is where I want to go with this conversation. Where she's able to observe,
stay in her bag, stay in her frequency, stay poised, and just watch you. And when it's her time, she's going to eviscerate you with love and not even trying to just make you look bad. But when you're saying these things and when you're championing some of this rhetoric, that is part of the reason women are getting sexually abused and have to sit in silence because people ain't going to believe them. Because people want to say, oh, you overreacted or it wasn't that deep. This is the energy, this is the rhetoric that he was doubling down on representing. So without even getting super into that, that was just my context laid for that. To have to watch that episode back, to post about that episode, to see y'all responses, and understand that a huge part of my role is to stand in the face of that shit. With the toxic masculinity that calls me simps every day, that says I'm not a man every day, because I represent creating a new earth. I represent creating a new level and a new calibration of masculine energy. And in that, the old guard, if you will, is dying. And to a certain degree, I'm helping to put his ass down with love. I still got a lot of love for the old guard. I still got a lot of love for the old-fashioned version of masculinity. I still got a lot of empathy for it, because none of us came into these life cycles with this shit just programmed into our mind. Like, yeah, women ain't.
It's a long.
Yeah, dude, just that lets us know for sure it was all for clout. Because why are you going on this whole tangent talking about whatever, trying to justify why you did what you did? If you did it and you a man, shit, that's what it is. You see what it is. I ain't got shit else to talk about for it. But if I gotta go into this whole, I'm trying to redefine masculine energy and all this other, like, come on, bro, say that shit, man. That's that shit, bro.
Yeah, he seemed like he's one of them crash dummies just waiting to relax. You know what I'm saying? He just waiting to go off. I hate be perfect for you, man. You tell him what, and he going off for you. Whatever you need.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
You get to these last two checks, man. The university, 1, 2, or 6+ eyes for an eye is the law of Ethan. They got an 11, $10 says, is that chaotic? What up, bro? How you been, shorty? And the university dollar says, Coco. A lot of hearts. You got his address?
They talking about old boy that put his joint on you.
Oh, okay. It was so long ago.
Hey, so Ty, did you what did you think of that clip? What was your thoughts?
I mean, I understand what you're saying with him. You know, if it was true, why would he feel the need to explain himself? But I think in the world that we live in today, because he decides to post a lot of things on social media, he felt the need to address his audience. And he probably got a lot of pushback stating and questioning his masculinity because of how he responded to it. And that's why he wanted to make such a big response. That's the world we live in now. Do a lot of people do a lot of things for clout? Yes. Because that is the world that we live in now. Do I necessarily think that that is what he is doing? I don't know. I can't say 100% no, and I can't say that I'm leaning towards yes. I feel that he uses his platform as a way to not only get his message across and to reach the people that he wants to reach, but to also impact and influence people based off of the way that he thinks. Like he said, it's just a new way of thinking. You know, he believes in that feminine and masculine balanced energy and all of that. I think he's just using it as a way to push that narrative more. And a lot of people do that now. A lot of people feel the need to explain themselves via social media.
Hey, check that back check. Let's drop this link so y'all can catch a vibe.
I ain't watching that shit, bro.
I think that he's pandering. I think he's pandering. I think that it's very obvious. I think that there were two conversations being had and he kind of mixed them together. because we're talking about the Me Too movement, and then he started talking about his sisters, his aunties, his cousins, and I'm like, the Me Too movement was pretty much based around Hollywood. That didn't really affect our regular lives. And so it's kind of funny to me how they take that and they put it in general lives with everyone else, right? It's okay for you to have this emotional stability or feelings with your aunties, your cousin, your girlfriend, whoever, you know. But specifically when it comes to the Me Too movement and what that gentleman said is, I believe that the majority of these people are lying. Point blank, period. He didn't say, I believe that most SA victims are lying. He said, I believe that the people that are a part of this Me Too movement, Hollywood business, most of these women are lying and making this up. And the majority of us feel the same way. That has nothing to do with saying the majority of regular sexual assault, victims are telling lies. I think that that's two different things. He somehow tried to combine them together and start pandering to women emotionally so he can get up, his money on Instagram.
Or is it that he's such an emotional person that he was triggered in that moment? No, hear me out, this. Why you start laughing? Why y'all
I love that you are a glass half full girl. I love it.
But I'm just saying, think about it.
Laughing. I ain't shit.
Vince kept saying that last time, but still, for real, like he literally referenced his mother being, SA. And like you said, Aisha, that has nothing to do with the Me Too movement. But because the women in the Me Too movement are claiming that they went through that exact same experience with someone in power, he could have been emotionally triggered. And that's what motivated him to want to push that much further into the conversation and link those two together when he was explaining himself.
That's a fair observation for sure. But from what we saw, he didn't get emotional until a boy, whoever the host is, started tearing up. That's when it was like, oh shit, we crying. All right, bet.
But Vince, those like, two different types of emotions. He did get emotional. When he was talking to the guy about the Me Too movement, he got extremely aggressive in his tone and his language. He even leaned forward towards him. He was ready to come out of his chair because at that point he was angry. And then once the guy started talking about his own traumas and got vulnerable, that triggered a different emotion. That made him feel empathy, sad. He started thinking about his own traumas. Those were two different emotions, but they were both emotional states.
That's fair. I can't argue that. That's fair.
All right.
Different levels, Viz. Different layers of emotions. You see how you looked at that and you only saw one thing, but I saw the clear picture. That's all I'm saying.
But no, I saw more. I saw more of it. It's just
Really?
I just saw through the bullshit because it was just a play. It was theater. You know what I'm saying? It was. You know it was theater, Hank. Come on, man.
Come on.
You're on the dark side.
Y'all supposed to be there for y'all.
Again, I'm all the way with that.
Really?
In my elder years, I have absolutely been exploring vulnerability without a doubt. I believe that all people are emotional beings. We are instinctively emotional beings. The way that we handle those emotions, of course, varies from person to person, from experience to experience, to what they've been exposed to, who they are, who they feel comfortable with, all of that. But at the same time, with me being aware of Hollywood, with me being aware of the power of social media, with me being aware of how easy it is to manipulate people, that was the main thing that stuck out, because it was like, this does not feel genuine. Because what Cooley was saying, that what he was saying wasn't wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that if his mother experienced that, I understand that could trigger something in him. But if we are grown adults and we're having a conversation, ain't, you know what I'm saying, doing all of that, it's like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? You want to fight me now because I'm expressing how I feel? It wasn't like he was getting confrontational with him. You know, dude Cooley damn near looked like he didn't even want no smoke. He was sitting in the chair upright, sitting back, and oh boy, he leaned, like you said, he leaning forward. It's like, man, what is you doing? So in that case, to me, you're putting on a show for these women that's sitting around us because they're uncomfortable with what it is that I'm saying that's not completely incorrect. So now I have to be Captain Save-A-Hole and show my emotions that I can connect with them, and I know that this is going to be a clout chase to where women are going to be in the comments like, oh, he a real man, it's like, that's,
or he could
make him a
use
real
that
man.
moment to be protective of those Black women in spaces where, like you're saying, most men would think from a logical standpoint instead of from an emotional standpoint, and understanding how Cooley's comments made those women feel may have made him think of how certain other people's comments about the experiences that his mother, sisters, cousins went through made them feel. And because he couldn't protect them in those moments because he wasn't able to, wasn't present, wasn't old enough, he felt the need to step up and protect those women.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because I personally don't agree with how Cooley interacts with women in general.
Yeah,
for sure. So I know that he can be confrontational. I'm sure that he probably pushed the buttons or whatever the case may be. But again, just how it played out from what we saw, it didn't feel authentic whatsoever.
All right. All right, y'all. We're going to conclude the show for the day. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're catching on the replay, hit that like button. I want to thank y'all. Coco, I seen your body language was all right. Let's wrap it up now.
What I do? What?
Coco started eating and everything. Like, all right, y'all.
I know. I was eating my chicken wings from Popeyes. I was like, I'm gonna have to eat some, but I'll be trying so hard not to be out, like not to